Welcome back to Northern Perspective, everybody. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Tanya.
And our son is quite under the weather.
So if one of us has to leave the room, that's why.
And if you suddenly see our website come up, it's because he's entered the room. So anyway. Wow. So I'd say at 95%. Hopefully I don't catch what he has.
What our son has, yeah.
Because he's been vomiting most of the day, so it hasn't been a lot of fun for him. But hopefully we can have some fun tonight. So before we get going, if you're just joining, make sure you ring that doorbell, hit that like button, put your feet up, get your popcorn and your beverage of choice, and join us for an evening of politics and
something very special.
Something extremely special. So wanted to say a big thank you to the almost 100 people that joined us at our Pints in Politics event, our first ever NP meetup on Friday. So that was fantastic.
That was amazing. It was so wonderful to meet all of you.
Absolutely. And thank you, all of you, for keeping the secret a secret. We very much appreciate that. But it's not going to be a secret any longer this evening. Anyway, before we get too far down the road, let's go through our house rules.
Yeah, so house rules are the same three as always. Number 1, please respect each other and the show. Number 2, no selling, soliciting, or spamming the chat. And 3, please don't use profanity. And for tonight, we have a special rule for those of you that were at the event with us this past Friday. Please don't ruin the surprise. We will announce it in about 30 minutes.
So there you go. And no, Tanya is not pregnant.
No, somebody guessed that. I'm way too old for that now, I think. So I know like some women can have children into their 40s, which is fine, but I just don't think I am healthy enough to be one of them.
So there you go. Anyway, folks, keep hitting and smashing that like button. We just went up by 600 likes, and we've just gone up by 1,700 viewers, and that's the power of the like button. It tells YouTube to recommend this stream to more and more Canadians so they can join. And for those of you that do not have notifications on for the YouTube channel, shame on you. Make sure you try and click that notification bell on so you get notified, well, hopefully within a reasonable amount of time. Sometimes YouTube notifies you, but a day later. But that's just YouTube for you. And I think we have Barnaby and Jester in chat. Is William here too?
William will be joining us shortly. So we have got all 3 of our regular moderators back tonight. If you have any questions or having any trouble with the chat, please ask them. And you can tag at Barnaby from Northern Perspective with your questions for the Q&A portion of the live stream.
Okay, let's get to the rundown. Here is the rundown for the evening, folks. So we are in the midst of the introduction as usual. At around 30 minutes in, we will be dropping the top secret project reveal. We've hinted at this over the last couple of months, and we are finally ready to reveal it. But the project itself isn't ready yet. You'll see what we mean by that. And at around 40 minutes, we apologize for the lateness of this, but this is going to be the combating Carney miss section of the show, and it's something that we talked about doing a couple of weeks ago, but we were under the weather and then under the weather and lots of other stuff going on. But we are finally ready to give people that capability, and as always, around 11 o'clock Eastern time is when Northern Perspective question period takes off. So let's get into pre-chat activity, everybody. Thank you very much. We already have memberships being dropped. Thank you so much. So Larry Crow, welcome to NP supporter. Thank you. Lawrence Neal with a $10 super chat. Good day, my fellow NP Nation compatriots. I'm excited to hear the announcement and what Cypher and Fox have in the works. Thank you for your service to this community and to the country. Stay gold. Thank you very, very much, Lawrence Neal. It's great to see you. Longtime support of the channel. Thank you. And P. White with a $10 super chat. How much impact or influence do pre-election debates have on voters, especially now with social media flooding our news feeds? It's a good question, and
I don't know if we can quantify that.
Well, especially now, because even for almost 4 years ago at the last election that was in the middle of quote unquote COVID, and we didn't really have, I would say, the type of debates that we're going to be having now. And there is a lot less people paying attention to politics, and a lot less people on social media even at that point. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. I think it's going to have a significant impact on how people vote, or it will push people further into their corresponding corners of the political spectrum. So we'll see what happens. Jay Meta, member for 2 months. Thank you for all you do. God bless. Do you think ACPC government will act against groups misusing Canadian public infrastructure for foreign separatism?
That's a good question. Do you think the Conservatives will act against foreign groups using, what was it again? Can you read it?
Do you think a Conservative government will act against groups misusing Canadian public infrastructure for foreign separatism? So, sounds like the Khalistani groups and the Palestinian groups and stuff like that. That's what I kind of read into that. And if that is the question, I hope so, because if you move to Canada, then there should be a reason you move to Canada. Leave your problems at the door. Yeah, you left problems in your previous country to come here. Leave them there. So if that's the question, hopefully we answered it appropriately. And Ellie, member for 7 months, are you entering the leadership race for the Liberal Party? Well, it's a little late. And I missed the first deadline for my first $50,000 raise.
So you missed the whole $350,000.
Yeah, never mind the rest of it. So, I was going to, but shucks, I realized I missed the deadline. So maybe next time. Chris Barnard, welcome to NP supporter. Thank you. And Soleil, welcome to NP supporter. Thank you very much. Jilly Beans with a $5 super chat. Ding dong. Ryan and Tanya weren't sick. They were working on top secret stuff. Time for the big reveal.
Hey, two things can be true at once, right?
Two things are definitely true at once. So
yeah.
Paul Barnett with a $2 super chat. I'm saying it now, Mr. Carney. There are 4 lights. Excellent Star Trek
You still haven't
reference.
shown me that episode.
Well,
you're gonna have to now.
It's one of the best Star Trek episodes.
I know you keep saying that, but I haven't seen it yet.
So, Bonsai Boy with a $5 super chat. Can you clarify what Pierre Poilievre's position is on Canada and Zelensky? We are out of money, and all the support from JT is useless. Okay, so this is actually good because somebody at the Pints of Politics event asked us about as well. So, to the best of our knowledge, what we have heard Pierre say, and it doesn't really have anything to do with Zelensky, it's just Ukraine. So I think we can all agree that just sending billions and billions of dollars in cash to Ukraine doesn't do Canada any good at all. I think we can all agree on that. Now, what Pierre has talked about is if we're going to be sending help to Ukraine, we might as well have Canada benefit along the way. And we might as well ensure we know what that money is being used for.
Like munitions, for example.
Right.
Why don't we make them in Canada and then ship the munitions over to Ukraine?
So this is what Pierre has talked about in terms of funding the production of munitions and arms and things like that to be made in Canada, thereby paying Canadian workers, and then taking that, and that is what goes to Ukraine. And that way, this doesn't get used for any possible money laundering that there's been accusations all across Twitter about, that it's not used to buy yachts. It's
supporting Canadian jobs, right?
Right.
It's going to pay those workers in those munition factories, for example.
So if what they need is bullets and equipment, then make the bullets and equipment here, and then that way Canadian workers benefit from actually having a job, and we start building up even more our capabilities in Canada of producing arms and equipment for our own military, and we can do two things at once. So that's to the best of our knowledge, and this is what we have heard Pierre say. That is what Pierre's stance is on Ukraine. It does not sound like he is in favor of just sending cash and pressing the withdrawal button on the Bank of Canada Interact machine and then sending it over to the Ukraine. That's our understanding of that. Okay, and we're at 2,400 likes. That's great, everybody. Keep pushing that up because we're about 2,500 behind. Okay.
Next is a member comment from Rob Barkhouse, who's been a member for 14 months. It says, what happened to your Thursday show on True North / Juno? Secret project? I'm intrigued.
So, it's interesting what happened there. We got a notification from True North that Harrison Faulkner was no longer with True North, and as a result of Harrison Faulkner no longer being with True North, they didn't have a host for the show, so
they ended the show, unfortunately.
So unfortunately, the show ended after that announcement, and there you go. So that's about all we know. And Juno was a surprise to us as well.
I think somebody told us about that in Ottawa, didn't they? I think we learned about that while we were in Ottawa.
Well, we saw. Yeah, I think somebody
told us, but I can't remember who.
Somebody may have told us, and then we checked
and then we saw it. Yeah.
And then it was very strange because everyone was confused about this Twitter account that they were following that had like 250,000 followers. That was all of a sudden Juno News, and they're like, "What was this?"
Yeah.
Because this is brand new. So, to the best that we can see, that used to be True North's Twitter account, and they just rebranded it overnight to Juno News. So. Terrence Murrin, welcome to NP supporter. Thank you very much. Drayden F with a $2 super chat. Are the tariffs still happening this week? No. This is interesting. Every deadline that comes forward, it seems like myself and a couple other people are getting closer and closer to being right. So Donald Trump has pushed off the tariff deadline now to April 4th. So this is interesting. It's interesting because now this may be after an election is called, and then we will really see what happens in the middle of a potential election campaign if Trump just pulls the tariff threat and wait and says, no, it's okay, I love Canada, off you go.
Yeah, their whole platform will be gone.
It would completely disintegrate.
Yeah.
So,
and the whole, Trump bad, therefore Pierre Poilievre bad narrative will also be gone.
Now, it's possible Trump keeps it going, but who knows? That's the thing with Donald Trump is he's unpredictable. Just me, Nicole, with a $5 super chat. Hit the doorbell. We are running behind already. Yes, we are.
We've got 5,200 people in chat and what about 2,800 likes?
Yes, we do.
So we're kind of floating around the halfway mark, so please hit that like button for us.
Glenn Stewart, member for... I'll get to you in a second, Glenn. Therese Poller with a $5 super chat. Why does Poilievre say Russia was not provoked to invade?
You'd have to ask him. He's the one that said it.
Yeah. There's two perspectives here. One perspective is Russia was provoked to invade Ukraine by NATO, and Ukraine wanting to join NATO. So that's one perspective, which you may argue, well, is that a provocation? Is that not a provocation? The other perspective is that Russia actually started this war years ago when they annexed the region of Crimea to take a military base that was there, and then they literally surrounded Ukraine and invaded Ukraine. So those are the two predominant perspectives. So it just depends on what side you want to believe, or maybe everything is true. Both of those can be true at the same time as well. But the one thing that you have to be mindful of is Russia has been pushing their propaganda, and the West has been pushing their propaganda. Who's right? That's the tricky part, and I don't have the answer to that. Glenn Stewart, member for 15 months. I love the MP cap. I have chatted with more NP Nation fam. Did so in a Tim Hortons. People heard what was said to ask how to find Northern Perspective. Oh, that's pretty cool.
I think we show up pretty high up on Google now, don't we?
I think so.
If you Google Northern Perspective, I think we're one of the first results that comes up. But yeah, YouTube and then search Northern Perspective.
Absolutely.
For sure.
So thank you for the yeoman's work out there, Glenn Stewart. Thank you very, very much, and everybody else who is expanding the foothold that Northern Perspective has.
And also we're at northernperspective.ca, which is nice and easy to remember. So.
100%. SK with a $2 super chat. If Tanya isn't pregnant, then obviously Ryan is. Oh, well.
No, that's not true because we're conservatives and
yes,
Ryan can't get pregnant.
Right. Only birthing persons can get pregnant.
Oh, I hate that. I saw, was it somewhere? It was either, I think it was Toronto Public Health or maybe one of the hospitals in Toronto had used the term chest feeding on Facebook, and they were getting attacked so hard that they had to shut off their comments on their ad. It was interesting.
Yeah, there's a few medical associations that have changed that word, and it's disgusting.
It's not cool.
Michael Heffling with a $5 super chat. Mark Carney was the inspiration for "All I Do Is Win" by DJ Khaled. His hands did in fact stay there. Carney mistruth. And I got to say, I love all the memes that are going around for Carney taking credit for things that he didn't do. Like I saw one today. Mark Carney actually does all of Tom Cruise's stunts for him. So that was a great one. Mark Carney was the one that actually won the Korean War. There's a bunch of them.
It's like the Chuck Norris thing that was going around. Remember, it was like these fantastic things about Chuck Norris. We should do the same about Carney.
Absolutely.
Like make up these ridiculous things like his claims to fame.
Teresa Flaubert with a $14 super chat. Do you think if the Conservatives end up with a minority government, do you believe they will get non-confidence voted out like what happened to Joe Clark? That would be a big mistake, because I think if that happened and an election happened again, then they would immediately get a majority government, because Canadians would be really irritated if they had to go back to the polls again. So that's what I think would happen.
I think YouTube skipped a couple. We have Slim Chance with a $20 super chat. Thank you very much. It says, the Conservatives will win the next election because of two things. One, the majority of Canadians believe in the man, Pierre Poilievre. And second, the majority of Canadians believe in the cause. God bless Canada. Well said. Thank you very much.
And the majority of Canadians are fed up with the Liberal Party and the NDP for causing all of this misery in the first place.
That too. And we have Gordon Meir gifting 20 Northern Perspective memberships. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you very much, Gord.
And we also have Janice D with a $10 super chat. It says, how can the Liberals run a by-election in Halifax in April when that is 9 months from the general election? And we actually received this question by email, I think it was yesterday. And we did a little bit of digging, because we had previously been under the impression that you cannot have a by-election within 9 months of a general election. And what we found is that you cannot have a by-election. The person whose seat you're having the by-election for has to vacate at least 9 months before that, if that makes sense. We're going to pull up the exact text from the Elections Canada website. That is the second one, the second image. Alrighty, so it says, this is the whole thing from the website, and we actually have a link for this in the description, because we were kind of anticipating that this question might come up, so you can check this out in the description. But the paragraph that starts with, under the Parliament of Canada Act, when a seat in the House of Commons becomes vacant, the Speaker of the House of Commons informs the Chief Electoral Officer by means of a Speaker's warrant. If the Speaker is absent, or if the Speaker's seat is vacant, two members of the House of Commons may address the warrant to the Chief Electoral Officer. The Parliament of Canada Act includes an exception when a vacancy occurs in the 9 months before a fixed date general election. In that case, no by-election is called and the seat remains vacant until the general election. So it's that the seat is vacated 9 months before the general election. In this case, the seat in Halifax was vacated about 13 months before the general election. It was vacated on September 3rd of 2024. So it's just been sitting empty, and that's why they're permitted to call an election, by-election now. However, if they call this by-election and then a general election is called, the by-election writ is canceled. So they cancel the by-election and then they go to general election with the rest of the country.
And this has happened before.
It has, yeah.
So, so there's not really much to read into it in terms of, does this mean that a general election is not forthcoming?
It could be. It could be. It could not be. Like, we don't know. What we've heard from our EDA, and they're getting us ready for an election, is that there's going to be one called the week of March 10th. So we're just going to have to wait a couple of weeks and see what happens.
Yeah. And it's not just the EDA. The other parties are getting ready for this as well. And there's this general understanding in Ottawa that this is what's happening.
Yeah.
So, okay. No doubt YouTube is going to miss more, but we will see what happens. Nicholas La Victoire with a NP supporter membership joining. Thank you very much for that. Rob Norduff with 5 gifted Northern Perspective memberships. Thank you. Autistic Avenger with a $5 super chat. Since there's an April election, which is half a year before the scheduled election, doesn't that give Pierre 4.5 years in his first term? Nope. It actually resets from well,
No, because the election that will be happening in April in Halifax is a by-election, not a general election.
No. He said if the general election takes place in April, like if it's called in March and then takes place. So I think that is technically correct.
Yeah, it would be, because you have to call an election the 3rd October of the 4th year. Yeah, I think it's
the 3rd October
correct.
of the 4th year.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it says. Hold on. You take the next one and I'll look it up and we'll come back to that, because there's like a very specific rule about it, and I'm almost positive it's the 3rd October or 3rd week of October. Oh my gosh, now I'm getting confused. It's the third Monday in October of the 4th year of Parliament.
So put it this way, Autistic Avenger, you are correct in that the next general election would be scheduled for October, the third Monday in October of 2029. So yes, it would technically be 4.5 years. Okay. And Robbie says with a $5 super chat, if we rename Canada to Ukraine, do you think we could get the Liberals to like us again? Well, maybe we would actually get a whole bunch of international bank transfers and get some money back. Who knows? And Paladin Phil, Speaker of Tales, a member for 14 months, best conspiracy about Mark Carney. He's here to liquidate Canada financially for QE2's estate. Sometimes I have to work real hard on my poker face with certain coworkers. Yes, we have heard this too, and this is the most laughable one that we have actually heard. Like, it's beyond ridiculous. It is absolutely beyond ridiculous. And for those that have seen it, for those who have not seen it, there's a random guy who is talking to the camera, and he's starting to read about probate law, doesn't cite any sources, and just says, this is why Mark Carney's here. Okay, what's your evidence for that? So it's
well, and what is probate? Like, we looked this up. What's probate?
It's literally basically handling somebody's will.
Yeah.
What it is. So this guy's argument is that because Queen Elizabeth died, she bequeathed Canada to the United States. This is literally this guy's argument. She can't do that, and she didn't do that. So let's
again, SIFT method, right? SIFT method.
And
if you hear something absolutely ridiculous, fall back on the SIFT method.
And remember, and we will keep saying this, as we approach an election, there's going to be bonkers stories out there like this one. So there's going to be many more like this, and some even crazier than this one. So just get your popcorn, sit back and laugh, because that's what's coming on. Anyway, thank you for that, Paladin Phil. Dan H with a $5 super chat. Carney held an event at the Oakville Power Boat Club on Friday. It's a small clubhouse. If he can only appeal to the rich boomers, he's done for. 100%. 100%.
Yeah, because young Canadians and Canadians our age are not buying what he's selling.
Absolutely. And Ben Russo with a $7 super chat. Thanks for the Pints and Politics night. It was fun to get and great to meet you both. Well, thank you very much for coming, Ben, and thank you for not spoiling the surprise. Taylor Sophia with a $5 super chat. Warp drive is down, Captain. We're running on impulse. Oh, that's great. And Sean Lefty Legend, member for 16 months. Thank you so much, Sean. Sorry I missed your meet and greet. After all this time, I would have finally gotten the chance to meet you guys face to face. I'm stuck in Ottawa for work. Check your email for a blast from the past, guys. It's happening. Hint, hint. Oh.
Cool. We'll check it out.
Oh, okay. Curdy with a $5 super chat. Bless you both. Glad you're feeling better. Hopefully your child feels better soon. Yeah, I hope so.
Hopefully. It's always so tough to see your kid not feeling well, right? Especially when he's not always able to tell us, how he's feeling. He seemed normal, and then all of a sudden he wasn't.
Well, he learned very quickly today, throw up, and he also learned very quickly what to do when you have to throw up. So that was great that he actually learned that very quickly.
Not to gross you guys out, but it's extremely important for us, especially with an autistic child, that he's able to communicate with us how he's feeling. Like if he has a stomach ache, he's able to now say like owie tummy, which is huge. For years he couldn't do that, so now we know, okay, he has a stomach ache. And
it's kind of crazy and those of you with special needs children with speech challenges, you can relate. It's crazy when you're talking to doctors that know you have a child with speech challenges, and they say, well, how does he tell you he's feeling? Like, what's he telling you? And you just look at them like, he can't. He
doesn't really tell us anything. So when he is able to tell us something, it's very important. Yeah.
And Philly of the North, I believe. Ryan, about a year ago, I brought up the Liberal control of pollsters being interference, and you thought it was a non-issue. Do you still believe that? I don't think the Liberals are actually the ones controlling these people. I think it's independent Liberal supporters that are the ones that are doing that. But
or you think they're pandering to a base?
I think they have a personal vendetta.
Well, some of them for sure,
and that's what they're doing. But I would say, to your point, Philly, I think it's influencing some voters. Now, we will know at the election if it's a non-issue. So, I hope it is. I have a gut feeling it is.
I was going to say, you've been hearing it at the door. Granted, the ridings that you've been working with are either conservative or polling very heavily conservative still. So you've just been hearing it at the door. Yes, I'm voting conservative. Yes, you can count on my support.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess we'll see. But thanks for bringing that up again. And Marsh with a member comment for being a member for 2 months. I love NP and NP community. Everyone here is true, honest, and loyal to NP. Many thanks to both of you for keeping the news flowing in Canada. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being with us.
And hopefully we'll be back up to essentially full speed this week. That'd be great. And Drayden F with a $5 super chat. Thank you for clearing that up, Ryan. Only reason I asked is because Canada Proud said they were delayed. Then a day later, they posted it's happening.
The by-election?
Oh, probably, yeah. And Watch Your Eyes with a $10 super chat. Feds have cut funding to residential school investigation. Is residential school denialism a real thing? They have not found remains of a single body after spending over $216 million. Yeah, it's interesting that all of a sudden they've terminated that. And at the original, like they have found graves at residential schools, but that's nothing new.
I think we forgot that even as recently as 100 years ago, children would die frequently from preventable diseases or things that we have vaccines and treatments for now, children would die of before. Like if you take, for example, my grandfather, he's 94 this year, and he had 13 brothers and sisters, 2 of whom died in early childhood because that was just like the common thing back then.
Now, the main issue, and this is what all of this is kind of circling around, is the original school where they ran this ground penetrating radar and said, oh, well, we found like 100 graves. Well, they didn't find 100 graves. They found 100 disturbances, which could have been
Anything.
And they have not exhumed any of those
Right.
or found any. So there is no evidence, hard evidence, at that school that these were all mass graves.
And I think part of the larger problem is that when they were making all these announcements, there were some people that were asking, like, where is your evidence? Like, where's your proof? And they were demonized. Yeah. And I think we should always be asking proof. When people are making claims about anything, we should always be asking for proof, because if it's true, they should be able to provide us the proof, no problem.
And it sounds kind of morbid, but they literally should have used the literal definition of the SIFT method at these schools, sifting through the soil to see if there was anything there. Now, the interesting thing is some people are like, oh, well, you know, that's disrespectful for that. Okay, so how is it disrespectful to try and identify that this actually happened, but it's not disrespectful to dig up the remains of a child from 2,000 years ago? What's the difference? And I would be waiting to see anyone on the left that could actually explain what the real difference is from that. So, yeah, it's very interesting. But the issue is they've completely gotten lost in their own narrative on this. And now that people are questioning it, the left does or the far left does what the far left does, is they don't try to argue the actual argument. They try to demonize you and tell you, well, you're just a residential school denialist and you're a horrible person. Okay, but you have no evidence on your side. That's the problem. So anyway, I could keep going on and on and on about that. But it is 10 o'clock. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have been hard at work on a project. It was funny because we were talking to Barnaby and the other moderators when we told them about this, and Barnaby was like, how in the heck do you guys have the time to actually do this? We made the time because we felt it was important. And we made this announcement at the Northern Perspective Pints and Politics event on Friday. So we're going to show you how we made that announcement there. And then we're going to continue elaborating on that after that announcement is made. So for those of you that were at the event, this will be familiar. For everybody else, enjoy.
If you've been on the live streams, you may have heard us talk about a top secret project that we've been working on. And we've been working on this for a number of months. You better start, because I'm going to start crying.
So this is something that's very special to us. Our son Vincent is the center of a lot of what we do, not only in our lives, but Northern Perspective as well. He's the reason Northern Perspective exists. And Vincent comes with us to Ottawa on our business trips. When we're interviewing MPs, he's there in the room, or he is introduced to the MP, and then...
Or he's at McDonald's around the corner.
Yeah. So he's a very big part of Northern Perspective, and he's really come to enjoy our family road trips to Ottawa. And many of the MPs know him by name now. Like Michelle Ferrari, for example, there was one day where we were sitting in the gallery, and she recognized him and just started...
You violated parliamentary rules by literally screaming at him. So
he's the center of everything that we do here at London Perspective, and we wanted to. Well, we have been teaching Vincent about parliaments in language that he can understand, but we also wanted to do something that would help teach other children what is parliament, what is it for, in a very simple and nonpartisan way. So we have decided to
to do something. And because of a lot of the other parents that sent us emails telling us that their children are starting to watch, we wanted to do something that was a little bit more accessible for younger kids. So this is what we decided to do.
We wrote a book.
We did. We wrote a children's book, and it's called Vincent Visits Parliament. And he has his 2 puppies with him, Sky and Finnick. And Vincent goes on a little trip to Parliament, and he comes across an MP and the Speaker and various other characters who are involved with Parliament. The book is nonpartisan, and it's meant to be educational to teach children what exactly is Parliament, because we feel that kids aren't taught this stuff in school, and it's valuable for them to start learning in words that are understandable to them. What exactly is Parliament? What is the purpose of Parliament? What does it do? And we hope that this can help teach them.
And it was illustrated by a local artist. And it's the same artist that has actually done the art for all of the T-shirts for us. And she is such a talented young lady. Her name is Holly Gadori, and can't say enough good things about Holly. She is just as excited about this book as we are, and that's one of the reasons why we absolutely love working with her, is because she understands what we're trying to do. And how we're trying to help. So it was just so touching that she was able to bring Sky literally back to life in one respect. As many of you know, Sky was one of our dogs that passed away recently. So she was able to bring her back in the book, and she goes on the adventures with Vincent as well as his other puppy Finnick. And one of the interesting things that happens is when we come back from our road trips to Ottawa, Vincent just cannot stop talking, or he just keeps saying Ottawa because he wants to go back.
He loves to go to Ottawa. This child loves it so much, and he loves to go to Parliament. And I think this child's probably been to Parliament more than most other children in this country. He just loves to go. And he's well behaved when we're in the gallery, and he likes to explore where we're permitted to. So it's great for him, and we really do hope that this book can help teach other kids what is Parliament. And
the and one of the things that that happened is when we came back from Ottawa at one point, he has a show and tell in class, and because he can't tell his class what he did in Ottawa, we have to write out, essentially what happened. And so we did that one time, and the teacher was reading that out in front of the class, and the teacher ended up asking the class, what is one law that that everyone would want to see happen? And the class decided that they would want to have free ice cream for the rest of their lives. So we actually ended up incorporating that into the book as well, just because A, it was sweet, and B, we wanted to, bring in something authentic that kids would actually ask for.
Yeah.
And because we are so Canada first in when it comes to all of our ventures at Northern Perspective, we also wanted to make sure that we had a Canadian publisher, which we do, and it's called Pandemonium Publishing. It started out in Binbrook, Ontario, which is, not too far from where we are, and is now based out of Calgary, Alberta, I believe. And she is just as excited about this as we are, and Holly is. And everyone we talk to, educators, they tell us there doesn't really exist a book like this. So if this does well, then we may do some more, like, Vincent gets to vote, and Vincent visits the Senate, and things like that. So, but he meets a cast of characters in the book that are completely fictitious. The prime minister that he meets is it's a amalgamation of different characters and looks.
He kind of looks like who is it? Wilfrid Laurier, I think.
Wilfrid Laurier,
Yeah.
plus the dad from Umbrella Academy. So with the monocle and everything like that. So it's I think people will really enjoy the book. There's some built-in activities for it. There's some Easter eggs in there for some adults as well. And we're just so thrilled at the reaction. So thank you so much, everybody, for the support. And it's going to drop hopefully right around the time of the election. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Yep.
You'll be able to buy it on Amazon, I believe Indigo, and off of our website as well. So there you go. And somebody actually mentioned, and I don't think we considered this, about translating the book into French as well. So we'll talk to the publisher, and I know they have resources to do that as well. So anyway, that is the Top Secret Project, everybody. And
I do want to say one cute little story that when we got the proofs for the cover from Holly, who's the illustrator, we put it up on the big TV in the living room so that we could have a good look at it. And our son came over and we asked him, "Who's that?" And he goes, "Sky." And we said, "Who's that?" And he goes, "Finnick." I said, "And who's that?" Pointing to him. And he goes, "It's me." So he knew right away exactly who it was, which was awesome.
Well, and the amazing thing about the illustrator is there's very few, if any, changes we've needed to make. Like the cover of the book that you see, that was her first proof. And as soon as we saw it, we were like in tears, and
it was very emotional for sure.
Just seeing it come to life, and she absolutely nailed it. And same with the characters. We gave her the guidance on these, but the art style and everything like that she's put together, it's great. It's phenomenal. So well done to Holly on that. So that is the Secret Project. Now the next thing that we want to get into is the campaign of common sense against the myth of Mark Carney. So without further ado, we have updated the website, and I will shoot over to that now. So this is right on the front of northernperspective.ca. And, the latest video posts are still there, but right at the top is this big picture of Mark Carney. It says Carney Myths. Hopefully the website doesn't crash like it did before. But you click on that, and this takes you to a new section of the website with a table. And this table will get bigger over time. But we took the pretty much the top 5 myths that you will see on Twitter, or Twitter, X, Facebook, and the other social media platforms. And you can see what the myth is. And what we've done is essentially said, here is the actual fact that refutes that myth, and there are source links over here. Now, you don't have to do anything. All you have to do is hit this copy button, and then all of that is now in your clipboard, and then you can just go to your social media and then paste, and then everything is put in there for you. So you don't have to type literally anything. You just go copy on the appropriate point, and then go to your social media, and you can reply to whatever you're seeing there that is being being perpetuated by the either ill-informed or the nefarious disinformation influencers out there. And you can just leave it up there for everybody to see what the actual facts are. So so that is how we're looking to bust the myths here. So you can get there right from the northernperspective.ca front page, and we have the carbon tax there. We have the fact that Mark Carney says that he fixed the 2008 financial crisis, and a bunch of the top ones there. So so as we continue to build on that, there will be more added over the coming weeks, no doubt. So so that is another tool for all of you to be able to fight against this disinformation that is going on out there. And it's there's no emotion in there. It's just, here's the fact, here's the sources, off you go. Can't argue with facts. And if you do, well, I don't know what to say. So so there we go. That is the busting the myths of Mark Carney. Now, let's get back to the administrative section of this, and loving the reaction for the book in chat too. So thank you.
We're very excited about it because mid-April is Vincent's birthday, and it's also when we're expecting an election. So we're hoping that the timing is perfect and that we can meet both of those right on time.
Lines up great.
Yeah.
So okay. Chadley Canuto with a $5 super chat. PP's war rhetoric has lost my vote and many others. He sounds just like Trudy. I'm writing Trump on the ballot. Over funding foreign wars. Okay. If that's the way you want to go, that's fine. Whoever says with a $2 super chat, the first casualty in any war is the truth. That is very true. Apoplectic Canadian with a $5 super chat. Those arms have been finding their way in the hands of the Mexican cartels. They'll profit off our generosity. And JJ with a $5 super chat. Incorrect NP. The tariffs are on this week. The other tariffs in April are the reciprocal tariffs. So those are the ones that I was speaking of. So if you're talking about the steel ones, then yes. Kathleen Rothman with a $4 super chat or super sticker. Thank you very much. Carol Rome with a $5 super chat. Got my NP shirt and toque. Love them. And you guys. Thanks for everything. Thank you.
YouTube decided to skip another one. This is a $100 super chat from Paul Proud Canadian. Thank you very much. It says, good evening, Ryan and Tanya. I hope that your son makes a full recovery soon. Looking forward to tonight's show. Thank you for your dedication to the truth amidst so many lies and misinformation perpetuated by the Trudeau Liberals. We need the election now. God bless.
Well, and also consider this. You're not going to agree with everything the Conservatives say. You're not going to agree with everything that Pierre Poilievre says. The question is do you agree with most of it? Because if you find that you agree with absolutely everything that somebody says, you need to check yourself, because you may be falling into an ideology and not actually thinking critically. So just keep that in mind. And we don't agree with absolutely everything the Conservatives have in their platform, but we agree with enough to say that that's who we're going to vote for. So as long as you have an informed vote, that's all we can say. And Rebel Angel member for 1 month. We got our NP shirts. Love them. Excellent.
Awesome.
That's what we want to hear. Jonathan Hodges with a member comment for 11 months. Inseminated person is the latest. Wow.
What? That's
Really?
rude. Wow.
That's really, really rude. Wow.
I'm not calling you rude. I believe that's a term that the medical community has adopted, but that's gross, man.
Sad part is it's not surprising.
No,
either.
well, that's just...
Holy crap, man. Really?
It sounds like veterinary medicine, where it's just everything is literally objectified, right? Oh, that's gross.
And you know what? a bunch of people around the table heard somebody suggest this, and a bunch of those people said, "That's a good idea."
And these are educated people with advanced degrees.
And you know what they call this stuff?
Oh,
The
man.
stuff is called inclusive language. That's what it's called.
Wow.
So we're going to... They think they're being inclusive, but they're being completely disrespectful to literal women.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore. We need that as a meme, actually.
Or, as people say, send the asteroid, right? YouTube is going to crash on me, so here we go. Come on, YouTube. You can do
Do you
it.
want me to take over?
Sure. Go
Okay,
do the
we
next one.
have Carol Rayom with a $5 super chat. Thank you very much. It says, I got my MP shirt and toque. Love them and you guys. Thanks for everything. Thank you very much for your support.
That one I got.
If you've ordered a item from our MP shop, they are taking around 2 weeks before they ship out. Right now, what happens is everything is made to order. So the merchandising partner that we work with, they receive the order from us, then they place the order for the physical shirt or hat itself, and then they embroider or print on it, and then they ship it out. Right now, I think they're a little bit busy, so it's taking about 2 weeks before anything ships. But if you do ever have questions, please reach out and just let us know.
Polaris sucks. Welcome to NP supporter. And T Part C with a $2 super chat. Can we stop lame duck PM tossing money on the way out? So if it hasn't already been put into the budget, he's committing to spend it. He's
just
not
promising.
actually spending it.
And whether or not Mark Carney, because we're assuming that's who's going to win the leadership race, if Carney decides, like, you know what, no, I'm not going to fulfill that promise, then he won't.
Well, it doesn't matter
So-
because if he calls an election right away, then it's moved.
Yeah,
so.
but okay, that's true. Yeah.
So, and Landon McIntosh, member for 10 months. I'm just here creeping in the back while working, waiting patiently for the top secret, super special reveal. Hope that was fun to say, LOL. Yes, it was.
And we hope you enjoyed it.
Dingo, welcome back to NP supporter. Thank you very much. And I'm pretty sure I know what this says. I want to make sure I'm right, and I am right. Van Shank Guitars with a $5 super chat. Mark Carney invented the internet. Yeah, he did. It was great. It was so good. He's such a smart guy. He invented the telephone, too.
And the fax machine.
Krusty Canuck, member for 20 months. Blame me Carney and embarrasses Chuck Norris. And for those of you that don't know Krusty Canuck, although most of you should, he has his own Western style podcast out of Alberta, I believe, and he has a bit of an edge, and he gives you a very honest, no filtered approach to Canadian politics and all things Canada. So if you're interested in that, head on over to his channel. Good to see you again, Krusty. Bonnie Heaslip, welcome to NP supporter, or welcome back, I should say. Thank you very much. Patrick with a $10 super chat. Checking in and seeing that you two are doing fine. Thank you for your hard work. You are welcome, and thank you for watching. Paul Burnett with a $5 super chat. Al Gore didn't create the internet. Mark Carney did. You know what? They should have a cage match. And fight over who's the most super serial environmental fanatic. So all right, that's going to be an interesting one to say. So Karunya Vemilopoli, I think I got that right. If not, then I apologize. With a $28 super chat. I don't have to listen to what Mr. Poilievre planned for Canada. I am voting for him, period. If you could guess, what are the first three things Mr. Poilievre would do after he is the Prime Minister in a couple of months? Well,
Axe the tax, number one.
yeah, what we do
Yeah.
know that he is going to do, and we don't even have to guess, is that he's going to be calling an immediate commission within the first couple of months to review the tax structure in Canada.
What's within the first 60 days, they said. Yeah.
And he wants an answer within the first 60 days because he's going to look at that recommendation and assuming it makes sense, he's going to implement that. So it's one of the first things he's going to do. Second thing he's going to do is he's going to eliminate the carbon tax. So that's going to happen virtually day one if he can do that. And then, well, he can do that, and we've discussed that before. And he's going to be repealing Bill C-11, Bill C-18, Bill C-65, Bill C-69, I believe. There's a whole bunch of bills that they are going to be putting into their first piece of legislation, literally day one, to rip them out so we can get these violent criminals back into jail.
And on that, I haven't heard this directly from Polyev or the campaign, but I think what they are most likely to do is start appointing judges, because we need a lot more judges in this country. There's a lot of vacancies, and Trudeau just hasn't bothered to fill them.
No, because he doesn't care. So there's a bunch of things right there. Marsh with a $10 super chat. You guys are number one for news in my books. Call me a super fan of NP. Thank you so much. Thanks for giving me something to look forward to on Sunday. An election can't come fast enough.
That's right.
We all agree. And Ken Bowers with a $20 super chat. Thank you very much. Mainstream media is still saying that the tariffs are a go Tuesday. They are still fear-mongering. Always a pleasure being part of the NP group. On a side note, I just received my Black Northern Perspective ball cap and wear it proudly.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
You said the tariffs, though. It's the steel that they're still
I think so.
doing, and then the rest they've pushed off again.
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to double check that, make sure I am correct.
Okay, I'll read the next one in the meantime. It's from Canadian Guy Up North. Member comment for 4 months. It says, woo, 4 months. Awesome. Thanks for sticking with us. And we have Jim Trapp, member for 2 months, saying, ain't it cool how the Liberals are all over U.S. news sites because their own party passed rules that we can't access media easily in Canada? Isn't that disgusting? I remember it was back a while ago. It was when we were still using the puppets. We had spoken to Ken Hardy, and we were like, people on Facebook can't access the news. And he's like, well, you know what I do is I take a screenshot of it and then post that to Facebook. And we're like, but doesn't that kind of like circumvent the whole thing that these news agencies were complaining about? Like, you want the link because if you click the link and go to the news website, then at least they're getting ad revenue that way. Now they're not getting any ad revenue. So it was just ridiculous. Have you found your answer?
Keep going.
Okay. Next one is a $7 super chat from Charlene Renaud. It says, thank you, Ryan and Tanya, for your excellent work informing Canadians. I recommend your channel to everyone. Thank you very much. We really appreciate that. And then we have Dingo with a very cute profile picture of a dog sticking his tongue out with a $5 super chat saying, it was so great to meet you both on Friday at Pints and Politics. We had so much fun. Thanks for all your hard work and all the best, Brian and Claire. Thank you very much. It was lovely to meet you. And then we have Marsh with a $5 super sticker of a pair character doing a classic mic drop. Awesome. And we have Adam Canadian with a member for 11 months comment. It says, hey, Ryan and Tanya, MP Nation, and our favorite monitors. I was thinking of putting Zelensky down as a dependent on my taxes this year. Cheers, guys.
Well played.
Nice. Very funny. This is from Suntrite. It says, when Alexander Graham Bell invented the phone, there was 2 missed calls from Carney. See, these are like the kind of like silly,
That's
ridiculous
amazing.
Misinformation jokes that we need. These are funny.
And I can't get a straight answer in the 5 minutes that I'm looking this up. So we'll see if we can get back to you on that. And Adam Canadian, member for 11 months. Hey, Ryan and Tanya, NP Nation, and our favorite monitors. No, you already got that one. It's just out of order then.
Funny. You could read it again.
Did you get Leslie Robbins? Member for 12 months. Good evening, Ryan and Tanya. Thank you for your dedication on informed videos that you make. Quote unquote warp speed to next election. A Larry Brock meme, please. Sure.
What the hell is going on?
Or maybe this one.
I guess my appearance at committee's not going very well today.
It's one of my favorite ones. Catherine English, member for 3 months, waiting for Pixel's appearance.
We shut the door tonight.
Well, I can open it.
Oh, Ryan can open the door and she'll probably come in here because she's always looking for food. She's got a little belly and she's so food motivated, this cat. Did you see her?
I remember hearing her before.
She'll probably make an appearance. The door's open now.
Okay. We have Daniel T with a $7 super chat at Tim Hortons today, and a couple recognize my NP cap who mentioned the fans of the channel. Nice.
Awesome.
Nice. We were actually celebrating Tony's dad's hockey game. Or sorry,
birthday. His birthday, my mom had said, why don't you guys come to a hockey game? Your dad doesn't want anything for his birthday, so I'm going to buy him some hockey tickets, and you guys can come. And so we went to the Ice Dogs.
It's a OHL game. It's not an NHL game.
It's fun. You know what? It's good hockey. Vincent likes it. We love it.
It's a lot of fun.
So,
and they're always lively. And someone actually ended up recognizing us from across the hockey rink, so it was fantastic because they
really
came
cool.
over.
Yeah.
And we took a picture, and that was awesome. So it's great to see people out in the wild, as we say. Just me, Nicole, with a $5 super chat. My 7-year-old grandson with CP started speaking a little too. It makes a world of difference. Those few words, yeah,
Absolutely.
especially when they can start asking for what they want.
Yes, that was a big one. I think when he was able to start asking for like a drink or something to eat, or if he was cold, I think that was one of the best things that we taught him was when we're giving him a bath, if the water's too hot or too cold, or how, if it's just right, or however he likes it. So.
And props to MB Nation. We're at like 5,100 likes. Great
Wow,
job, everybody.
awesome.
Barking up the right tree. That's an amazing handle. Member for 10 months. Think we'll ever get to see what Carney is hiding financially? It worked for the kings of hiding money, Goldman Sachs, and only reportedly worth $5 million. I guess we'll see. This is why we need some changes in our laws on how officials get to be elected, because if you are literally running to be the Prime Minister of Canada, you should have to disclose that right out of the gate. Like, if you intend to run, you should have to put that disclosure forward. The problem is our system says you only have to make that disclosure once you're either elected as an MP or you become a member of cabinet.
And I think they have to do it every year too, if I'm not mistaken. Our MP was saying something about that when we were at the EDA meeting on Tuesday, that they have to resubmit. I think he said every year.
Yes.
Just because things change, right?
But the other thing that you shouldn't be able to do, you shouldn't be able to step down as Prime Minister and then hold a leadership race and then have somebody not elected by the majority of Canadians. If the Prime Minister, if they're stepping down as leader of their party, there should be a general election. Sorry. There should be, because the party's own crap is not the problem of the rest of the country. So Pierre said a little bit more bluntly on Jordan Peterson's show. Pokey5587 is going to have to wait until YouTube reloads.
It says NATO has moved east since 1994. Russia applied for NATO in 2002 and got rejected. Obama dropped a lot of lead. We can't get involved in dropping Canadian stamped bombs while our north is wide open. Deep dive.
I don't disagree. We need a functioning military. Okay, Pokey5587 is now checked off. Construction Cronies, member for 19 months. But time you got here. I want to say thank you for your work you're doing for Canada and Canadians. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We want to say thank you to Chris, or Construction Cronies, who's been a friend of the channel pretty much since the beginning. So thank you so much for all your support.
And if you're interested in construction, he has his own YouTube channel where he talks about that. Damien McNeil at Barnaby at Jester. Hey, Ryan and Tanya, I've been thinking since last Sunday when someone mentioned to rent an RV for your NP Nation meet and greet. Perhaps we could get a donation option for $1 to contribute to your RV rental. We actually we
kind of discussed that.
And it would be problematic because
where are we going to put it at night? And then if we are going across the country doing like a book tour, like where are we going to park it during the day and stuff?
Like we would have to drive it literally to the events. So I guess it depends on how big of an RV that we actually got. So
It would be
it's something we're
cool.
still looking at.
It'd be cool, but we're not sure logistically how it might work out. So we'll see what happens.
We should call up Pierre because he did that. So.
Yeah.
But I think it was only him and Anna. So.
And also, you would have to drive the entire time because I'm not comfortable driving huge vehicles like that.
Okay. I love driving, so that's fine. Drayden F with a $5 super chat. Guess I should have specified that I was talking about the terrorists being delayed, not by-election. I think that came up
thank you.
again. I think that came up again. Revis A's with a $5 super chat. The difference between archaeology and grave robbing is time, and may get you banned from the board. Wow.
You know, I've heard that saying, and I didn't want to be disrespectful and say it on the stream, but
Oh, there you go. Somebody else said it. Rusty Shackelford, more for 6 months. As a fellow Trekkie, curious what you think of the reimagining of Battlestar Galactica. I heard they may be doing that, or I guess it depends. Do you mean the relatively recent one that finished? If so, I love that one. I love both of them because the second one kind of allows the first series to be still canon, when they're saying all this has happened before and all this will happen again. But I absolutely loved start to finish the second version of Battlestar Galactica. If they're going to do it again, if that's what you're referring to, that's news. And every time they reinvent something now, I get worried because it's usually full
it's
of
going to be a
garbage.
DI nightmare. Yeah.
Well, because so like in the original Battlestar, Starbuck was played by a man, and the interesting thing is, the original man who played Starbuck in the original played a kind of a villain in the new one, so that was kind of neat. But Starbuck in the second version, Katie, I can't remember her last name, or if that's even her first name, was played by a lady, and the best part is there was no girl boss crap. It was just strong character, and it was well written. And the way I described it to Tanya way back was, if you've seen the series Rome, which is also an excellent series, it was like the same quality of writing of Rome is how they wrote Battlestar Galactica. It was just really, really realistic. It's how you would expect people to act and the technology to actually function in that type of world. So, long answer. I'll see later if I actually got it right. And Dandaman 966 with a member comment. 14 months. Let's go, NP Nation. Don't get manipulated by the polls saying liberals are winning. Abacus has Pierre still 13 points over the libs. Let's bring it home. If you want to get the next one.
Yeah, so next one is a member comment from Stacy, who's been a member for 19 months. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. And Stacy says, yay, called mom today and she asked me to come get YouTube going on her laptop. Finally, bye-bye CBC. Hello, Northern Perspective.
Wow.
Awesome.
Well done, Stacy.
Very good. Thank you so
drip,
much.
Drip, drip, drip. Well done.
That's it.
And Goko Tony with a $5 super chat. Shut up and take my money. And Shannon's Cooper with a member comment for 4 months. That is awesome. Congratulations on your book. Thank you very much. And what was this again? Oh, Barking Up the Right Tree with a 279 super chat. Mad props. All the kudos, guys. Amazing work. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah,
Michael,
we're really excited about this book.
Michael N with a $5 super chat. The children's book. That's incredible, guys. Congratulations. This is the good the world needs. Hope this turns into a series. And
yeah, we hope so too. Because
yeah.
I think, I mean, we want to keep everything nonpartisan because we don't want to like indoctrinate kids, but we do want to teach them about Parliament because it's something that they're going to need to know about in their adult lives. And I think it'll be fun. Like, you know, Vincent goes to the Senate, Vincent makes a bill, Vincent goes to vote, which that one we'll have to work on because, I mean, an 8-year-old can't vote, but...
Vincent vetoes foreign aid. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't... Just something, yeah.
And Glenn S. with a $3 super sticker. Thank you very, very much for that. And Curdy with a $10 super chat. Love your book idea. Thank you. No, thank you. Sly256 with a $5 super chat. Congratulations. A wonderful idea. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Devil's Dog, member for 1 month. Congratulations. Thank you. Jilly Beans with a $5 super chat. Love it. You're on your way to starting a better media company than our current televised media. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mike St. John, member for 13 months. Congrats, man. You two are the best for new and upcoming political leaders and followers. Looking forward to buying the book. Thank you so
very
much. Paula Park. I remember you, Paula.
I remember seeing Paula on Friday and in Ottawa before that.
Yes.
Yep.
With a $14 super chat. I can't wait to get one for my grandkids. Thank you so much. Angus with a $10 super chat. My 8-year-old granddaughter mentioned tonight that we were going to be having a tariff war with the U.S. We spent about an hour discussing tariffs and world politics. She will love getting your book. Awesome. And Malay Loves Cats with a $10 super chat. Wow, you guys, what a great project. This is super high fives to you.
Thank you.
Y5. And Paul Proud Canadian with a $20 super chat. Hello, Ryan and Tanya. Me again. Congratulations on your upcoming book release. I can't wait to purchase my copy. Vincent is so deeply blessed to have parents like you.
Thank you. That means a lot to us. Thank you very much.
Just Medico with a $5 super chat. I can translate free of charge French/English, even Swedish.
Oh, very cool. Thank you.
Well, we can ask Sweden if there's a market for it. So thank you so much. Rob D with a $20 super chat. Thank you very, very much for that. And that's your first on a live stream. Thank you. And SD Heron with a $14 super chat. That is great. I have an autistic son, and I will surely get the book for him. Keep up the great work, both. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that's your first. Thank you for saving it for us. Paul Barnett with a $5 super chat. As my ex-girlfriend would say, take my money. I want your book.
Thank you.
And Waterhouse... gotta see what this is. Waterhouse Productions with a $5 super chat. Didn't Trudeau resign 3 months ago? This guy has been hanging around like a bad smell. Well, he's been hanging around like a bad smell for almost 10 years. So,
True. He gave like his 3 months notice, unfortunately. He did put in his resignation, I believe it was January the 6th, and he's just sticking around
1 week
in
today.
the position until
1 week
the
today.
leadership campaign concludes, because he doesn't have a deputy prime minister right now.
Yeah.
Freeland stepped down.
So 1 week today is when Trudeau's gone, and unless something strange happens, Mark Carney will take the mantle. Diana Gabriel, welcome to NP supporters. Thank you, or welcome back. Thank you very much. And Marsh with a $2 super chat. Congrats on your book and the success in 2025.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. George Hampton with a $10 super chat. Thanks for everything you two do exposing the truth. Thank you. Thank you. And Rob Robillard with a $10 super chat. Congrats on the book. FYI, that book will not only be for kids working construction. I have a few coworkers that could really benefit from reading it too. And it's funny. That's what the publisher said too. She's like, there's a lot of adults that need to see this book.
Yeah, she said this is good information. Like after she received the manuscript, she was like, "This is good information. There's a lot of adults that would, enjoy reading this with their children, because the adults would also be learning." So, and you know what? That's great. We love to hear that.
And you two crashed on me again. So it's probably crashing for everybody too. So, it is what it is. Google sucks. What can I say?
So we have Linda with a $5 super chat. It says, I love your book. Never mind the kids. I have some family that need to read it. Congrats, you guys. I'm worried about the polls. Should I be?
If you haven't seen our video, 1984 is repeating. Check that out. And that made us feel a lot better after doing that research. And a lot of people that commented on it has said that they're feeling a lot better about it as well. Literally what happened in 1984, just with Justin Trudeau's dad, is playing it almost point for point. So check out what happened. And that ended up leading to the largest conservative landslide in Canadian history at that point. So check that out. And I gotta check Sean's last name here. Sean Goldsworthy with a $7 super chat. I would love to get this book for my son. He's only 15 months old, but never too young to learn. Any plans to make signed copies available?
Yes. It is something we're trying to figure out the exact logistics of, because if you order it through Indigo or Amazon, where we know that the books will be sold, you can receive a book, and usually they have a rule that if you spend X amount of dollars, you get free shipping. So with us, we can order the books ourselves, like to our home, and then we can sign them and ship them, but then you would have to pay shipping on top of it. So we don't know like all the details yet, but I have to really sit down and talk with Canada Post and figure out, okay, how much are you going to charge us to ship a book from Hamilton, Ontario to wherever
Say
across the
BC,
country,
yeah.
and then it would be signed. So it would be a little bit more expensive than just buying it, for example, through Amazon. But I want people to understand we won't be charging for the signatures. It's the shipping that's going to be the extra charge.
Yeah. So,
And again, we want to talk to Canada Post to be like, okay, what is the least expensive way that we can do this? Because we absolutely want to sign books for those who want them.
yeah. Autistic Avenger with a $2 super chat. Autistic Vincent, born in Autism Acceptance Month. There you go.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
I don't think we considered that before.
And Trish Pearl with a 279 super chat. Do you have to have kids, grandkids to buy the book? No, you can buy it for yourself. It's up to you. Or you can buy it for friends. You can buy it for, school. Like you can buy it for whatever you want. There's not going to be a checkbox that mandates your child's status. Don't worry about that, Trish.
YouTube skipped this one. It is a $50 super chat from A Lady Loves Cats. It says, great tool on the website. Thank you so much for all your hard work. I sent an email with thoughts and suggestions for the question last week about French NP equivalents. Look for Milady Loves Cats in the subject line. We
Okay.
will. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Sully Canuck with a $10 super chat. As a Navy veteran, I am interested in Pierre Poilievre's vow to create a strong military, and also his promise to keep foreign money donations here at home to help fix our own problems. And thank you very much for your service, sir. Well, I think. Give me a second here. I want to make sure I'm saying this properly. Yes, thank you very much, sir, and thank you to all of the current and past serving members of our armed forces. You don't get enough recognition.
YouTube skipped another one. This is from Al Pipke. It says, ice cream draws family together. Thank you so much for all you do for family. Looking forward to the book.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so
much,
Al.
And Jilly Beans with a $5 super chat. Just because a person has a degree doesn't mean they're actually smart.
Right.
Nope. One has nothing to do with the other. So people with degrees are smart, but they're not necessarily intelligent. So just keep that in mind. And Eric Campbell, member for 3 months. Do you think Kanzuk could potentially replace American hegemony in NATO and the West? Nova Pax Britannica. It's possible. There would need to be a lot more military between all of it, because I haven't checked in a while, but the US used to spend more than the next, I think it was like 5 to 10 allies combined on military. So that's something to consider. They've been pulling most of the weight militarily in the world, and NATO and in the West. So it's possible, but there's going to have to be some restructuring of how countries are spending their money. And Art de Rapide, welcome to NP supporter. Thank you very much. Gordon Mayer, member for 10 months. I heard Carney invented air that we breathe. I heard that too. And the first chemistry experiment ever was him making water. So consider that as well.
I heard he made a rainbow. Like the first rainbow ever.
Double rainbow. That was right after the chemistry experiment. And C.R. Strifey with a $5 super chat. Canada already has a fentanyl czar named David E.B. He oversees the import of the precursors and manufacturing. Isn't that what a czar is? Yeah. And Schwankster with a $14 super chat. Mark Carney founded Canada, but then lost it.
I love these. They're
That's-
so ridiculous. It's
That's
great.
like that's like the joke about the Irish. The Irish invented civilization, but then they got drunk and forgot where they put it. And Ruthless Mindset, member for 1 month. Putin invaded Ukraine to control their nuclear power plants and pipelines to make Europe bend to his will. And Daniel T with a 279 super chat. Carney invented spreadsheets.
Did he invent Microsoft Word? Because I need to have a word with him.
Well, he would have had to.
Yeah, but like when you move an image around and the whole thing like shifts and.
Yeah, so I believe it. I believe it. And Monique Carrier, member for 12 months. Congratulations on your book, Ryan and Tanya. French would be great also.
Thank you.
I don't think that's a bad idea.
Yeah, I think it is a good idea.
John Gauthier, member for 13 months. Congrats on your book. We will be buying one as soon as it's available. Speaking of bills, can a Canadian citizen create or propose a bill? And if so, how? You can only do so via a petition.
Nope, that's not true at all. You can book an appointment with your MP and ask them about creating a private member's bill. Whether or not it's something they'll go for, I don't know. But that is a method to get a bill implemented.
So I thought you meant actually draw up a bill and present it in Parliament. So listen to her. And James Halliday, member for 8 months. No money should leave Canada until our problems are corrected. Defund the government. Go. Jordan Primo with a $5 super chat. I think we can all take a moment to celebrate the fact that JT will be unseated by the next live stream.
Yes, I'm wondering when we will actually get those results for the leadership race, because that's what our live stream is going to be about next week for sure, if the results are in on time, which is 9:30 Eastern, so hopefully they will be.
I'm sure it will be.
But I think YouTube skipped over a couple here. We have Savage Silence gifting 10 Northern Perspective memberships. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much.
And there was another one. It was a $50 super sticker from Art de Rapide. It says, giant pear character waving flags and turning around, making the buildings in front of him tremble. Awesome.
Amazing.
Thank you so much. I love these descriptions that our bot gives us.
And JJ with a $20 super chat. Pierre better get rid of employment equity within the federal government, Crown Corps. Enough with DEI hiring. Also, he better repeal all nonsensical gun legislation. I want to be able to buy the pew-pews that are banned. So he has talked about repealing the ridiculous gun bans because there is no data to show that they are responsible for violent crime. And he has also talked about the fact that there will be a merit-based
Hiring process?
economy, going forward. So I interpret that as the elimination of DEI as well. And there'll be a lot of unemployed people that are specializing in DEI. And Carolyn DeSantos, I believe.
Sorry, my thing jumped.
I am right. With the $7 super chat, what do you make of Trudeau calling a by-election for Halifax April 14th?
I think it's interesting how they waited as long as possible to call that election, because by-elections are a little bit different. So when Parliament is dissolved and we go to a general election, they have to call it between 36 and 50 days of Parliament being dissolved. But with the by-election, they have, I think it's like up to 180 days, and then they can call the by-election.
6 months.
Yeah, I think, let me double check real quick before I start talking.
And we'll come back to that. SK with a $5 super chat. I regret missing the Pints and Politics. Will be there next time, 100%. Also, per my last chat, does this mean Ryan would be an inseminated person? Well, only if I was pregnant. So,
okay, so the date of issuance must fall between the 11th and 180th days after the chief electoral officer receives the warrant from the speaker.
there you go.
This is in the case of a by-election. So yeah, they have up to 180 days to say, okay, we're going to have the by-election on such and such date. So they've got 180 days to call the by-election, and that by-election must be between 36 and 50 days from the date it's called. But they can wait 180 days to call it. So
There you go.
that is kind of bizarre to me, but that's the way it is. And I think it's bizarre that they waited the full time instead of trying to get a Liberal back into that seat right away.
And so I think they had to call it, basically.
They had to call it now, yeah, because the seat has sat vacant for 180 days. Like yesterday was the 180 days.
Yeah.
So they had to call it.
Yeah, they didn't have a
choice, no.
Norm Nicholson, member for 19 months. I'm so glad Vincent has such lovely parents as you two.
Aw, thank you.
Thank you, Norm. Doo-doo with a $2 super chat. Your cat must be of cyan blood. That's fine. Mr. Mouth with a $5 super chat. Mark Carney single-handedly tore down the Berlin Wall. Yeah, there's news footage all over, and I think you can probably find that in the historical records.
Mark Carney created CAPTCHAs.
Oh. Love it. Angus with 5 Get to Northern Perspective memberships. Thank you very much. And Rowie says with a $2 super chat. To be fair, he single-handedly built it too. You know what?
I'm having too much fun with these.
I also heard they finally solved the mystery of who built the pyramids. You guessed it.
Mark Carney.
Yes.
It wasn't the aliens. It was Mark Carney.
Well, maybe Mark Carney is an alien. Maybe that's why. Louise A. King with a $10 super chat. Who wouldn't vote for Carney? After all, he is Michael Jordan's coach, and he brought home the Olympic gold for Canada in breakdancing, right?
Oh my gosh.
Right? Such a model
These
citizen.
are amazing. Please don't stop.
Vesper Digital with a $10 super chat. Bill Maher remarked on his HBO show that Trudeau resembled Hitler during the convoy, then interviews Chrystia Freeland, whose grandfather, Mikhailo Chromiak, was literally a Nazi. Oh, the irony. Yeah. And Care D with a $10 super chat. Quick question. How can Trudeau state that he's sending more money and weapons to Ukraine when Parliament isn't in session? So there was a certain amount budgeted, which was approved.
But not all of it had been released. Yeah.
Well, the question is has that full amount been fulfilled yet? And if so, then he can commit. He can't send any. If it hasn't been fulfilled and there's still money remaining, then he is within his rights to send money that has already been approved for that purpose. Doo-doo with a $20 super chat. With an election coming soon, what are your thoughts on how Mark Carney will handle the debates against Pierre Poilievre, especially when Carney cannot force the opposition out of debate with this or run away? I think he's in trouble. And I think the fact that he didn't even try to engage in a debate during the Liberal debate was a huge missed opportunity for him. That was kind of his warm-up to and dipping his toe in the water to kind of get a feel for how a debate has been. Because make no mistake, being in business does not prepare you at all, like literally at all, for being in a political debate. One has nothing to do with the other.
No, you have to be a good orator in order to be in a political debate.
You might as well say, I've only watched hockey my entire life. I'm ready for the NHL. Like this, that's the equivalent.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we talk for a living now, and I definitely would not do well in a debate. You know what I mean?
Well, to put it bluntly, Mark Carney is going to get annihilated, not just by Pierre. He's going to get annihilated by all of the different party leaders.
Because, I mean, that debate that he was in last week, or those two debates, they weren't really debates. They were really just like patting each other on the back and just having a conversation. Like a debate where you have an actual opponent, he's going to get destroyed.
Never mind in the French portion. In the French portion, I think he's in a lot of trouble. Because you're going to have Pierre speaking quickly. You're going to have Yves-François Blanchet speaking quickly. So,
and possibly sing, because he hasn't indicated that he's stepping down as leader.
Yeah, who knows? Like
we'll
the NDP
see.
May just send a potted plant to in his place.
They may as well.
So.
YouTube skipped this one from Brian Campbell. Apologies. There's a $20 super chat that says, "Hi, you two. Have you ever noticed how Mark Carney and Monty Burns from The Simpsons use the same hand gestures?"
Yes. That was actually pointed out, and you just like, And it's wide too. Like he has these like wide
He's
fingers.
got crazy hands. Like, yeah, he's got like guitar player's fingers.
So it's, and he always seems annoyed. Like, I remember when that debate started, and he was giving his opening statement. So he wasn't even answering questions yet, and he sounded annoyed that he was even there. Like, wow, show that charisma, Carney. Jim H with a $5 super chat. How many liberals does it take to fix a problem? No one knows. It has never happened before. And Justine Saka with a $10 super chat. Congratulations on the new book. I'm a nana of a 10-year-old autistic granddaughter who knows every flag of almost every country in the world, and she'll be thrilled to get this book.
Awesome.
And Dudu with a $5 super chat. Also, congratulations on your children's book. This will really help the youth start to think of politics and critical thinking, I believe.
I hope so. That's our goal. So we hope that happens.
And Jelly Beans with a $2 super chat. Get a truck and a fifth wheel.
But then we'd have to get a truck.
Yeah, then we'd have to buy a truck.
Yeah.
And then we'd have to buy a fifth wheel. Or I guess we could rent one. But
Yeah, you could rent one. We
Yeah.
could rent one. But maybe my parents will lend me their truck. Probably not. They might lend it to you, but not to me.
I can drive some trailers. I don't know if I want to drive a fifth wheel around. Savage Science with a $5 super chat. Maybe you could set up a booth at one of the festivals in Hamilton this summer.
Possibly.
Maybe.
Possibly. I know the publishers talked about getting us in at some places for like in-person book signings. So as soon as we know what's happening, we'll let you guys know for sure.
Absolutely. We will keep you updated. And Diane Savain with a $100 super chat. Holy crap. Thank you so much, Diane. Wow. Congrats on the book. A labor of love, I am sure. Hope Vincent feels better soon. And thanks for the Carney Myths website. Really needed to dispel the myth. Carney invented the light bulb. Yeah, we should put those up too.
We should. We should just do a community post after this because these are great.
The Carney meme index, yeah. Those memes took over Twitter. I love and keep up the great work. Thank you so much.
Hey, did you know that Mark Carney is DB Cooper?
Oh.
I wonder what he did with all that cash.
I don't know. Mark Carney knows where Jimmy Hoffa's buried too.
Does he?
He's the one who buried him. Barb Dressel member for 2 months. Any insights on or as to why an unelected political civilian like Mark Carney would be entitled to an RCMP security detail? Okay.
So we looked into this. The honest answer is we don't know the answer. What we do know is that with your local police service, if you're hosting an event or if you need extra security for something like, say, a wedding, or those of you who are car guys, car gals that have ever done like a drive for charity, you'll have the police blocking off the intersections. So you can hire them and pay them to do stuff like that. But we were not able to figure out if you can hire the RCMP for private events like what Mark Carney went to.
Yeah. So I know that. So we watched the Rebel News video with David Menzies. So he was saying that there's this one SUV was RCMP. There's no markings on it to determine that it was RCMP, but maybe he saw something that we couldn't in the video. And the only RCMP person we saw in the video wasn't in RCMP attire. He was in street clothes. So I don't know if that RCMP person was there just because they supported Carney or if they were there as a paid person. And the video doesn't talk about whether that is the case or not. So the one thing to be careful of these videos is assuming, just by virtue of being presented something, that you fill in all of the gaps that aren't actually described in the video. So is the government providing RCMP protection to Mark Carney? The answer is we don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Is the Liberal Party paying for that protection? Maybe. We don't know.
We don't know whether they provide that service. Again, your local police department does. But not everybody has a local police department, right? Some of the more remote communities rely on RCMP for their policing. So then do they provide that service? We don't know. We weren't able to find out, unfortunately.
Now, the RCMP has provided security for other candidates in leadership races before. Jean Charest was one of them on the Conservative side. So it's not unprecedented if that is happening. But the answer is we don't know. Now, we would like to know. I think the public would like to know. I think it would relieve the public, probably irritate a bunch of Liberal donors if the Liberal Party actually came out and said, yes, we're actually paying for the security detail. But then the other candidates should be putting up their hands and saying, well, why don't we get one?
Well, right. Like, I mean, what's going on with Freeland? She's
Right.
a sitting MP. Same with Karina Gould.
And Christopher Freeland is probably more hated than Mark Carney. So you would think that the threat level is higher against her.
Yeah. So it's not a satisfying answer, but unfortunately we don't know. I do know what I can say is that the RCMP are tasked with protecting the Prime Minister, but so is Parliamentary Protective Services. When we were at the Royal Winter Fair in November, we saw Trudeau come out, and how I knew something was up was there was a gentleman standing there in black and grey, and he had a pin on his coat, and it was the parliamentary crest. And so that's how I knew he was Parliamentary Protective Services. So they both kind of work to protect the Prime Minister. Do they protect other members of Parliament in this manner? Again, I'm not sure. And are you able to hire them to protect other ministers, MPs, leadership candidates, etc.? Unfortunately, we don't know the answer.
Yeah. All we do know is there is at least one person from the RCMP there, as I said in the video. And David Menzies says that one of the vehicles was there, so may have belonged to that one person. Nobody knows who paid for it. RC with a $70 super chat. On behalf of all MP viewers, we love that you love and support all that is good. Vincent is inspiring as well as incredibly fortunate to have loving parents as you, Ryan and Tanya. We all appreciate your hard work and keep going. Thank you
very
so
much.
much. Thank you.
Oh, we're late for question period. We're
Oh my
about
goodness.
5 minutes late.
All right.
Sorry, I just realized, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again.
Oral questions.
Oral questions. Oral questions.
The questions, by their very nature, should be pointed, should be tough, should be specific, and the answers should also be clear.
All right,
This is everybody's favorite part of the night where you guys can ask us a question. Just make sure you tag at Barnaby from Northern Perspective when you comment, and he will push questions up to us. We are going to read as many as we can, as fast as we can, and answer them as accurately as we can.
And because we started late, we will continue question period a little bit later. So
let's get into it. Anastasia B asks, what do you think about Polyev saying he supports Ukraine and he dropped a little in the polls from that?
I don't know if he dropped a little in the polls for that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if the two are related, because the Liberals obviously support Ukraine, and that's where all the support is going. So we're not 100% sure that's related.
And we talked a little bit earlier in the stream, and this may have already answered your question, about the fact that Pierre Poilievre doesn't necessarily want to just send them a bunch of cash. If he's going to be helping Ukraine, if we're going to be helping Ukraine, he wants to be doing it in a way that actually benefits Canadians and provides jobs and money in people's pockets. So I think that's a lot different than that. But the challenge remains. We have lots of things to spend money on here in Canada. So that's our thoughts on that.
Michael N asks, Northern Perspective, so I think you could ask every Canadian they want a peaceful Ukraine, but do you guys think a better pivot would have been pushing peace and negotiations? Can you negotiate with Russia? I guess is the question. Because, negotiations only work when both parties are willing.
Yep. So, and the challenge that Ukraine is going to have is there's going to be no peace settlement with Russia where they keep all of the territory that they started the war with. That's going to be the challenge.
And are they willing to give that up?
And what's to stop Russia from coming back in next year. Don't know. So.
This question's from Samson Ram. It says, how can the Prime Minister call for a by-election in Halifax when it's inside the 9 months federal election window in October? Did we miss something? Yeah, so I think possibly we had explained this incorrectly in the past, or we were going on incorrect information. But in the description, there's 3 links. The first one is the link to the by-election announcement. The second one is the rules explaining the how they call a by-election. Can you throw that second image back up for me, please? Oh, so that's the first one that just explains when the by-election was called, which was September 3rd. And this indicates that the Parliament of Canada Act includes an exception where a vacancy occurs in the 9 months before a fixed date general election. In that case, no by-election is called and the seat remains vacant until the general election. So the way they describe it in this panel is that the vacancy, so the MP has to leave within 9 months and then no by-election is called. So because this particular by-election, the individual left September 3rd, which was more than 9 months before the general election, which is scheduled for this October, they are still permitted to call a by-election. So it's when they actually leave that has to be greater than 9 months, as opposed to the by-election itself. Now, what is likely to happen, and that what we believe is going to happen, is that the general election will be called next week, and then the by-election will be canceled, and the riding of Halifax will go to general election, the same as everybody else in the country. Next question is from David_FL. It says, do you think this sudden Trump-Pierre Poilievre public distancing from each other is a 4D chess move to take the wind out of the Liberals' sails? Thank you.
It's possible. It's very possible, because the whole narrative in the media has been Trump going after Trudeau and Trump going after Freeland. So even in the US, all of the attention has been towards the Liberals. So the fact that Trump has started talking about Pierre, well, that's moving media attention back to the Conservatives now, right? So it's very possible.
Chester 801 asks, do you think people are calling out Pierre Poilievre for not being more politically right and Trump-like, are actively hurting him when they want people to vote for him? I think there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in YouTube, Twitter, and beyond right now. And I think we had said this before, that people who were previously pro-Poilievre are now criticizing him to the point that I think people are starting to wonder whether they want to still vote Conservative. The big picture here, at least for us, what we see here at Northern Perspective, is that we want to vote Conservative because not only do we agree with the platform, but the major risk or the major factor here is the Liberals. We need to get them out. And splitting the vote and confusing people and bashing Poilievre and the Conservatives is not going to achieve that goal of getting the Liberals out of power.
Well, and here's the question. Who else is realistically going to be able to take Carney out? And even before Trump, was talking about the tariffs and all this stuff, we had been talking about the fact, and we were trying to let everybody know that as we get closer to an election, there's going to be a lot of people that were pro-Pierre, these influencers, are going to all of a sudden run out of content. Just come out and say it. They're going to run out of content. And so what else do they have? Because all they seem to know how to do is to get people angry and make people afraid.
Well, and politics has been quiet lately. If you've noticed, we've only been putting out one video a day, and there's days that we don't put out a video at all because we would rather just stay quiet instead of making something up or misrepresenting something that is happening.
Or recover from our colds.
Yeah, that too.
But this is the thing. The bizarre thing is that a bunch of these influencers are now, attacking Pierre and the Conservatives. the policies haven't changed. The policies to fix Canada that everyone got behind haven't changed, that Pierre wants to put forward.
No, and in fact, he doubled down during the Canada First rally. And he said that. He said, something about changing course or changing the platform or what they're doing. And he said, now is when we need this more than ever. So...
Well, and the other bizarre thing is you now have people saying, well, Pierre's just parroting, what the Liberals are saying. And this is where I do a face palm. Because I asked the question, have you not been listening to what Pierre has been saying for literally 2 years? He has been saying all of these things. If anything, you should be even more confident in what Pierre is bringing to the table, because he has predicted a lot of what has come to play. Now, again, we don't agree with everything that's in the platform, but you don't have to. When it comes to the economy and the carbon tax and mortgage rates and everything else, Pierre was calling this a year or two ago.
Well, I don't want a government that is going to negatively affect this country's economy and our standard of living and our jobs, just everything, because of some green, what would you call it? Green initiative, green plan, like this crazy environmentalism. And I mean, that's what the Liberals are going to do. Carney is just Trudeau 2.0.
Like, what are you getting with the Conservatives? You're getting a pushback of all this environmental fanaticism. Their plan is still actually going to be to benefit the environment, but it's not going to be at the cost of our pocketbooks and of regulations and everything else. So they're literally going to be opening up all of the minerals and opening Canada for business for foreign investment to actually get companies in here. And we're going to be more productive. Our GDP is going to go up, which means our GDP per capita is going to go up, which means you are going to have a higher share of that money in your pocket. Like, and for the people that want to vote PPC, I will not demonize you for voting PPC. If that's your informed vote, that's fine. However, we lost the last election because of a split vote.
Do we really want to split it again when we know what's at stake?
So that's the question that people have to ask. Do you want the Liberals in or do you not? That is the question. Now, again, people are free to make their own vote. I will not criticize somebody for your vote. I may not understand it, but whatever you want to do. But Pierre has been very consistent in what he's been doing. So anyway, we could go on and on and on about that.
This question's from T Part C. It says, once Pierre Poilievre is in power, can or will he change anything to avoid the abuse of power and no repercussions for abusive leaders? How can we have the power to remove a leader?
So this is going to be the question. And this is where Canadians have to talk with their Conservative candidates and their Conservative MPs and say, I want recall legislation. Figure it out. We need a way to be able to remove a corrupt prime minister. We need some sort of impeachment process.
Well, and we need the RCMP to recognize that nobody in this country is above the law, whether they are just one of us common folk or the prime minister himself. They need to apply the law fairly and evenly to all Canadians. Another question from T Part C. It says, where did you get this information regarding tariffs not going in this week? This is official or speculation? I can't find any information to confirm.
So I will try and find the exact link that I have, because I saw this the other day.
I remember you telling me that it was April now, but I didn't see it for myself.
Let's see.
I'm going to work on this question from Don B. It says, if Carney should win and become prime minister, how long can he put off calling an election if he wants to keep the position? Do Canadians have any recourse in this scenario? So technically, there's nothing in our constitution that says our prime minister has to be a member of parliament. However, it's what Canadians expect. So, I mean, if we have him elected next Sunday, and then just theoretically, the next election is not until October the 20th. That's what, about 6 months that Canadians are going, why is our prime minister not a sitting MP? Why is he not willing to call an election and become a sitting MP? I think it looks really, really bad. So again, constitutionally, there's nothing that's stated that says he has to be an MP, but to the public, it looks really bad that he doesn't become one. And also, he's going to have to sit in the gallery and he can't participate in debate. How can you be a leader of a party, of a country, when you can't participate in debate and fight for the bills that you want to fight for? Also, I think that if Carney were to become prime minister and then not call an election before March 24th, and we go back to the House of Commons, the opposition has already agreed that they are all going to bring down the government via non-confidence vote in March, at the end of March. So it's better for him to call the election himself than to give the opposition parties that opportunity. Ryan's still looking.
Yeah, so White House says March tariffs remain the plan as Trump's comments draw confusion. So
that's the financial post?
Yeah.
Do you want to stick that in the chat?
Yeah, I will. So Trump was asked during a cabinet meeting on Wednesday whether he planned to move forward on imposing a 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico on March 4th. Trump announced the levies earlier this month, but then subsequently agreed to a month-long delay after leaders from both countries agreed to stricter border control measures. But that delay is set to expire next week. I'm not stopping the tariffs. But Trump later then said that the Mexico and Canadian tariffs would be implemented on April 2nd. So this is the problem.
He's flip-flopping.
This is the problem with Trump. So I will...
We'll put that in the chat, and then we will... Don't close that window. We will put that in the description after the show, so anybody coming along afterwards is able to grab that.
So this is the challenge with Trump.
Yeah.
Is he
says a lot of things.
Well, yeah.
Sometimes in conflict with each other, right?
So.
Oops. Sorry, I was trying to make sure I write that down for later. Okay. Next question is from Mary Crawford. It says, if a party leader is not an elected member of parliament, who pays his wages? This could apply to Carney or even to Bernier.
So this is the interesting thing, is that if Carney ends up becoming the prime minister, he will be paid by the taxpayers. That's the salary he's going to get.
So if you look at the salaries of the MPs on the House of Commons, you can see where it'll list the base salary for being a member of Parliament. And then if you're a minister, you get an extra 50%. If you're the speaker, you also get an extra 50%. And then if you're the prime minister, you get an extra 100%. So you essentially get double.
So the question is he just going to get the extra 50 or 100%?
That's what I'm thinking, is that he would get instead of getting like the MP base salary, which I don't know what it is off the top of my head. It's just over $200,000. I don't know the exact number for being an MP. And then you get the exact same amount for being prime minister. I think Carney would only get this amount for being prime minister because he's not an MP. Again, that's just speculation, but that's the way it seems that it would work to me, at least. Next question is from Lori. It says, why can Carney keep all his citizenships when Andrew Scheer had to give up his U.S. citizenship? Did he give up his U.S. citizenship?
I'm not sure.
I'm also wondering if it was because Andrew Scheer was leader of the opposition trying to become the prime minister, and his opposition, i.e. the Liberal Party, was trying to use that against him in the election. So if he did end up giving it up, that may be the reason why. Whereas Carney is already coming into this position of power as prime minister if he's the one that wins this leadership race. So he doesn't have anybody saying, well, you should give up your citizenship, blah, blah, blah. Because he's not trying to become prime minister. He's already prime minister, if that makes sense.
But it's a good point. And
I'm not saying I agree with it.
And Scheer actually did not go through with renouncing his citizenship as a result of him not being prime minister. But I think it kind of makes sense if you're the leader of a country. That's the only country you should have allegiance to. That's what I think.
This is from Jules F. It says, Bill C-65, the Act to Amend Elections, has not been passed yet. Does that mean if an election is called, the rules will revert back to what we used before? So because the bill has not passed and we are in prorogation right now.
No rules have changed.
The bill's dead in the water. It's it's not going anywhere. The current Canada Elections Act is the one that we follow. Any amendments that would have been made with Bill C-65 are done.
Yeah.
Like they're over with. They're not going to happen.
So nothing was changed as a result of Bill C-65. So there's nothing to revert.
Gamble God of War asks, let them know that the NDP tried to make it criminal to talk negatively about the graves. Yes, I do recall that. I think we did a video on that bill, possibly.
And they also tried to make it criminal to talk negatively or to talk positively about gas.
Yeah, that was another stupid anti-free speech when they tried. There we go. We knew if we opened the door, she'd show up eventually. This is from Lorraine_VJ. It says, I was a little bit surprised late this week when I found out that outsider Mark Carney is in fact related by marriage to Justin Trudeau.
No, that is inconclusive information.
Yeah, I think we've discussed this previously because this rumor comes up every now and then. Just because you have the same last name as somebody or your spouse has the same last name as somebody does not mean that you're related necessarily. And I use the example that there is another registered veterinary technician here in Hamilton who has the exact same name as me. No idea who she is, never met her, not related.
And there's many people with my last name that I'm not related to.
There's actually a few in Parliament.
Yeah. So the rumor out there was, because Mark Carney's mom's maiden name, I think, was Kemper. And Justin Trudeau's, half brother is named, or adopted brother, I don't even care anymore. Kyle Kemper. Everyone was like, oh, they're related.
Not necessarily. Yeah, if you have the genealogy, I don't know what they call it, like the genealogy map to prove it, or if you've done like one of those DNA tests, that's different. But you can't just look at two people who have the same last name and say that they're related.
No, unless someone has dug it up and is able to actually show that there's public documents. But when we looked at this about 2 months ago, there's no public records that tie them together. So is it possible? Sure, but there's no evidence showing that there is, unless somebody has found something recently.
This is from Don B. It says, Carney says opposing things regarding pipelines. Can you confirm if pipelines are under provincial or federal jurisdiction and who has the real final say?
So, depending on what it is, usually pipelines are going to be crossing
provincial borders.
So, it's the federal government that gets to decide it. So,
sorry, I'm trying not to let Pixel bump the mic. This question is from T Ponch, maybe. How would you navigate the political conversation when even the debunking doesn't seem to get through to people you're talking to?
How would you navigate it? Yeah, this is the tough part.
Sometimes, unfortunately, the people you're talking to, there's nothing you can do. Like, you can give them all the evidence in the world and they still tell you that you're wrong and that they're going to believe something different. Unfortunately, some people are just a lost cause in that regard.
Well, and people have just decided that they're right. And they'll even come into our comments and, we'll say, we'll just say one thing that's questioning, saying, well, we don't see the evidence, and people have just decided that they're right, and all of a sudden we're shills, or we, support a particular position or something like that, when we don't necessarily do. So one of the challenges is there's a lot of people that go online and they look for echo chambers, and they're not interested. They think they are, but they're not interested in facts. They're interested in confirmation bias. They're interested in, I believe this, and I'm only going to look for sources that confirm my belief. And if I come across sources that challenge my belief or my understanding, I'm just going to rail against that and discard it.
Yeah, sometimes we get like really nasty emails that, we've said, okay, this is the evidence behind this particular subject, and it doesn't fit the narrative. So then we'll get like some really nasty emails about how you guys are wrong and this and that, and, I'm not listening to you anymore. This is not an echo chamber. We go where the evidence guides us. Well,
and even the global affairs thing, even other influencers, after we said, this is not what you think it is. It wasn't global affairs trying to wipe their database. I was accused of not being trustworthy because I used to work for the government. Okay, that sounds something like the far left would say. Just saying. But sorry, we live in reality. And virtually every IT person that actually commented on this was like, yeah, like everyone... If you've worked in IT, you know exactly what this was. This was an outage.
Yeah, ask Ravu Sadies, he'll tell you.
Yeah. And what was the and never mind that, they won't even accept logic. Because if in that case, if you're the Liberals, okay, your plan is to wipe this database. Wouldn't part of that plan include doing it at a time when most people wouldn't notice? So you probably wouldn't want to do it in the middle of the day.
When everybody's looking.
Come on.
Right. Like, if you're going to do something like this, it's going to happen at like
3
3 in the morning when everyone's asleep.
Like, give me a break. But then, but the problem is then you have people that say, oh, but still I wouldn't put it past. Okay, well, I can't help you then. If you're not going to listen to facts, if you're not going to listen to evidence, and if you're not going to listen to logic, I can't help you. And that's the frustrating part. So the issue is how do you navigate that? You can't continue the discussion with them, unfortunately. I would avoid personal attacks, and I would just say, well,
clearly we're not going to meet eye to eye on this one.
I guess we agree to disagree.
Let's talk about something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. That's the bane of social media, is it has created massive echo chambers. And like this is how Flat Earth took off. Flat Earth started off as a joke, and then people.
Well, because people built a community around it, so it's not necessarily about the belief; it's about the community. But I think that's a whole nother discussion for another day.
Yeah.
This question is from Tom's Music. It says, "Can you ask Ryan and Tanya about what it would take for Canada to get a second amendment like the United States?"
It would take a constitutional change, and there's process for that, and there's
It's really tough to change our constitution. I mean, it's easier now that we have full control of it since 1982, but generally things like that are put into bills instead.
Yeah, so it would almost be better to actually start it as a bill, put it in legislation, and then maybe for like maybe in the second term, the argument could be made, see, this is a good thing, and then they may be able to try and weave that into an amendment for the Constitution. But yeah, I agree, it would be much easier to just put it in as a change in law.
Don B asks, Karina Gold is obviously a fake candidate. Where do you think her $350,000 fee really came from? LOL.
Oh, I believe her in that it came from a bunch of the liberal members that probably saw Mark Carney, because look at her ideology, right? The one thing that is interesting is that she was the only one that stayed really far left. in all the policies. I'm not getting rid of the carbon tax. I want to bring in UBI and like all this stuff. So she's still leaning on the far left liberals. And the far left liberals are essentially either far left liberals or former NDPers. So they don't want to vote for Carney because Carney is the evil old white man that the far left absolutely deplores.
But they love him. Like, that's what I don't get.
But this is the thing. I think all of those voters are going to Karina Gold, and that's where she got her money.
Do you think
the question is are they going to go back? Are they going to vote for Carney if he becomes the leader of the Liberals? That's the question.
Do you think it's because Mark Carney invented the rainforest?
Well, no, I think it's because he invented democracy. I think that's why. So he showed all those people in Greece how it was done. So.
This one's from MD Readify. It says, how badly is the new Senate going to bother Pierre? It's full of all his choices now, right? So we actually had two videos with two separate senators, one with Leo Housakos and one with Don Plett. And we were talking about that exact thing, is how is the Senate going to affect a conservative government coming in? And Leo Housakos particularly had said, you know, we are expected to work with the government of the day because they are the democratically elected body. And it takes a lot of effort to, not necessarily a lot of effort, like it's a very serious thing to block legislation from a democratically elected government. And although it does happen sometimes, again, it's a very serious thing that they almost never do.
And they cannot block spending bills. Like they cannot block spending bills. So, and that's business of supply, right? Mm-hmm. So there's certain things that they absolutely cannot block. So I think it's going to be okay. I'm not worried about it.
Cindy Forrest says, Brian Lilly and Warren Kinsella often say that people believe Carney is better to negotiate with Donald Trump, but never say why. Any idea on the logic or why anyone thinks this?
I'll tell you exactly why they think that. Because what CBC and mainstream media tell them. That's it. Like, that's literally it. And if they do manage to come up with a reason, it's, well, because he knows the economy. He's an economist.
I think it's what you said, that the mainstream media is pushing this narrative, but I think it also, they hear this narrative from the mainstream media that, oh, Carney's going to be better to deal with Donald Trump than Pierre Poilievre. And it confirms a bias that they already have. So these are people who are already leaning liberal, and they hear this and they go, oh yeah, that must be right.
Yeah, it's confirmation bias.
Yeah.
So, and they have their own echo chamber. So.
Don B asks, what's your take on Freeland's 4-year-old girl story of her approaching and asking if she can save us from Trump?
I think it's bull.
I do think it's bull. Now, Vincent's an only child, and because he has a speech delay, we can't really say what a normal 4-year-old would or wouldn't ask. But based on like something that my niece and nephew would ask, I would say that that's probably not going to be it, unless they were instructed by mom and dad, unless they're getting this like hammered into them by mom and dad at home, unless they're hearing this constantly, being indoctrinated essentially. I doubt that a 4-year-old would ask something like that.
I know of no 4-year-old that prioritizes geopolitics and foreign relations over candy and chocolate. Like, I'm sorry, you should have increased the age, Freeland, because 4-year-old, give me a break.
And I'm going to end on this one because I love it. It's from Ross in BC. It says, please confirm that Carney was the one who pulled the trigger at the Big Bang.
You heard it here first. Confirmed. And I saw Genghis Strong was in chat. Is there any?
Oh, you want me to look? Hold on. See if Genghis Tron has a question for us. No, unfortunately, I'm not seeing a question of the week.
All right, let's get to the end, folks. So here we go. As Heath Ledger, as the Joker used to say.
Oh, this one, while you're looking, I do want to read this one. It's from Mary Crawford. It says, will Vincent be able to sign the book too? I don't think so. Just because like we can probably get him to sign one or like maybe two, but to have him sign a whole bunch of them, I don't think would happen.
Yeah, he loses interest very quickly in writing. So,
and I don't want to like make him do work, you know what I mean? But yeah, sorry about that. It'll just be Ryan and I, and if we can, maybe Holly too. But
Nancy with a $14 super chat. I think Trudeau should get boots and help with the Ukraine war and some real socks while he's at it. Yeah. Put your feet where your mouth is. Why not? Dana Wick with a $5 super chat. Wouldn't that be cool if on Tuesday the judge gives a positive ruling on prorogation? That would mean back to work Wednesday. Yes, it would. Yes, it would. And Censor Me Not with a $5 super chat. Thank you very much for that. Theorica with a $2 super chat. You meant Apollo, Richard Hatch. Thank you. Yes. And I think there was another comment about it. Yeah, for some reason I thought he was Starbuck, but yes, he was Apollo. And Katie Sackhoff was Starbuck. Okay. And we have, I want to make sure I get the last name here. Catherine English with a $20 super chat. Thank you very much. I thought that I was getting quote unquote looks, but realized it was my NP hoodies. Yeah, that'll happen. Wanda Hall with a $5 super pair sticker. Thank you very much for that. Ravi Saves with a $2 super chat. The original Starbuck also played Face in A-Team. Yep. And Theorica with a 5 gifted Northern Perspective memberships. Thank you very much for that. The Obvious Novice with a $5 super chat. Hey guys, any idea if there is a complete list of Liberal scandals and failures and bad policies since 2015 we could share? Could we make one? There is one.
Wikipedia has a partial list.
Yeah. I don't know how up to date it is, but you can definitely find it on Wikipedia. Marsh with a $5 super chat. Will Pierre try to reform or add to the powers of government? It's so antiquated and needs to have things added. Well, I think some of the things that he's going to do first in terms of government is implement anti-corruption laws. He has stated that. We've been repeatedly asking people like Michael Barrett and others if they plan to do this, once they come to power. The answer is yes. So I think his first concern is not necessarily expanding, but limiting the ability for politicians to engage in corruption. And if they do, punish them, with actual real penalties.
Yeah, because Michael Barrett has that private members bill. I think it's Bill C-405, or at least he did before prorogation. And it was to raise the penalty to, what was it, $50,000 and up to 14 years in jail, was it? It was a steep penalty for corruption.
Yeah, he wanted so perjury doesn't have a minimum in jail, but they wanted to make that a minimum of 6 months in jail, up to 14 if you lie to a parliamentary committee.
And I think YouTube skipped this one. It's a $100 super chat from NC. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much.
It says, from John and Nicole, NP, you are amazing and we enjoy your channel very much. Canada first, and cheers to all fellow Canadians. I would like to say that the future is for the children of Canada and needs to be here and strong for them. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much. We really appreciate that.
Peter Whitten with a $2 super chat. It is wonderful to be part of history in the making. Awesome.
I kind of wish so that history would stop happening to us here in Canada and we could just live our lives and be happy. Yeah. It's like something new every week,
Sully Canuck, welcome to NP supporter. Thank you very much. Rob K, member for 14 months. Congrats on the book. I've started calling CBC what they really are, Pravda. The old Soviet state broadcaster. Great work, Ryan and Tanya. Thank you. And Johannes with a member comment, 12-month membership. Thank you very much. I treat others with respect, and I never argue with an idiot because they will drag me down to their level and beat me with experience.
100%.
100%.
Absolutely, they will.
Diane Sylvain with a $5 super chat. Vincent C's Firth being questioned at the bar parliament. That's an excellent follow-up book. We'll write that one down.
It's not nonpartisan though.
She says, just a thought. Yes, I just got the book Corrupted by Fear by John Carpe. Love JCCF.
Awesome. That's why we need to buy and start reading.
Go Quit Dining with a $5 super chat. Any chance I could get a box deal? Spread them all over the north. No idea. We'll we'll know more as we get closer to it. Watch Your Eyes 2, welcome to NP supporter. Thank you very much. Through Rika with a $10 super chat. Tom Zarek for PF. Tom Zarek was the quote-unquote villain at one point in Battlestar Galactica. Meant to gift more in the last message. I've watched the new BSG 12 times and counting, almost as much as DS9. Live long, and so say we all. And for those of you that watch Battlestar Galactica that may not have known, so I actually got to meet Edward James Olmos at one of the fan expos, and I asked him if Starbuck was actually an angel, and he confirmed that was the case. They didn't come out and say it, but when she quote unquote came back, she came back as an angel. So if you didn't know, now you know, and it was confirmed by Edward James Olmos himself. And also, here's another bit of trivia. So there's this scene where I think it's after he finds out that Saul Ty is a Cylon. If you haven't
Spoilers,
seen it,
everybody.
Spoiler.
I haven't actually
for
seen
like
this.
12 years.
I haven't seen it.
Yes, you have.
No.
Yes, you have.
I must have fallen asleep.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, the whole series, Admiral Ladama has been like working on this ship, and he improved getting angry
Cat.
and completely trashing the ship. After the shot ended, he was then informed that was on loan from a museum, and it was worth about $200,000 or $300,000, and he was horrified. He just thought this was like some model they got from like Walmart or something like that, but it was legit from a museum, and he destroyed the thing. So there's a little bit of trivia. Michael N with a $5 super chat. Noticing lately a real push by the liberal machine lately. U.S. style attack ads, weird NGOs like Protect Canada, and huge bot war on X. Your thoughts?
Yeah, we've noticed the bots too. Even here, we've noticed them on our channel.
And there's bots that are, there's a whole bunch of them that are saying, I used to want to vote for Pierre and I'm not doing it anymore. There's a whole bunch of those. So, because they're trying to influence, right? They're trying to influence conservative voters. And the best thing for the Liberals is actually to split the vote.
Well, and I think they're honestly afraid of channels like ours where you have two people who are not associated with the party. I mean, we volunteer for our EDA, but that's about it. But you have two people who are just Canadians speaking out against the Liberals.
Well, and we at least say we have a bias towards the Conservative platform. We agree with the Conservative platform. We make no bones about it. We don't hide it. But it doesn't mean that we won't call things out.
It's funny. We were at our EDA event on Tuesday night, and our MP had made a comment, and I can't remember what I said, but I was like, "We'll call you guys out if you do anything, bad." And he just kind of laughed.
Because he knows, right? He knows.
Because he knows we will.
So, anyhow, Alice Avonlea with a $5 super chat. This book needs to become a mandatory book in school libraries, and it's interesting. We've run into some educators, and they think it would be great for the schools. So, but I don't disagree, because I don't know if other books like this exist, but everyone that we talk to says it doesn't. So, Jim Trapp with a $2 super chat. Mail Carney a copy so he learns what Parliament is. That's a great idea.
Did you know Mark Carney invented postage stamps?
Did you know he invented the book? Did you know he invented carnivals? Took so much pride in it that he incorporated it into his name. Karunia Vemalapoli with a $7 super chat. I would love to donate this new book to a couple of schools in Durham region where I live. What do you think? Will schools allow this? I don't see why they wouldn't.
I hope so. We designed it. We wrote it so that it would be nonpartisan, and that it would just be very simple, plain language for children to understand. So I'm hoping that they will.
Yeah, like So the MP is just a generic gentleman in a suit with a cane and a top hat. The Prime Minister is an old gentleman with a white mustache and a monocle.
Again, we based him off of Hargreaves from the Umbrella Academy.
Yeah, crossed with Wilfrid Laurier. And you have the Speaker of the House is a lady, and the Governor General is an old guy. So there's nothing, and there's no party colors. There's nothing like that, and there's no reference to liberal, conservative, NDP. Nothing.
No, it's just a boy and his two dogs going on an adventure to Parliament.
Well, because the point of the book is literally for a little boy taking, as Tanya said, a fun adventure in Parliament and learning about it. Learning about, why are the seats green in the House of Commons? Why are they red in the Senate? What's a bill? How does it become law? That sort of thing.
Who's the Prime Minister? Or, what's the Speaker do? Yeah. So
I don't see why any institution would not or would deny the book. Sully Canuck with a $5 super chat. My first donation as a member. Love your work. So glad I found you. Oh,
thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Thank you. Ravis Hayes with a $5 super chat. Smart, knowing a tomato is a fruit. Wise, knowing it doesn't belong in a fruit salad.
Very true.
There you go. Jade Sperry with a $10 super chat. I will buy the book for my goddaughter. She also wants to take a trip to Ottawa. She thinks Mark Carney is a vampire bleeding Canada dry.
Awesome. If you do end up going to Ottawa with your granddaughter, talk to your MP first, because
get a tour.
Yeah, they can get you a tour. They can put you on the list so that you can go watch Question Period. And that goes for anybody. If you are going to Ottawa, speak to your MP. Right now, because nothing's going on in Ottawa, you can just go online and book a tour through the parliamentary website. I don't remember the website itself. I just remember Googling House of Commons tour. And then they've got the French tours and they've got the English tours, and they run them every so many minutes, and you can go and you can see it because, again, nobody's there. But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So Mark H with a $7 super chat. Inseminated person, this is why aliens won't visit us. And Randy V with a $5 super chat. Do you believe that with the rise of independent media, do you believe that mainstream media will eventually cease to exist in our lifetime?
If they don't smarten up, yeah. I think they need to change dramatically in order to survive.
Well, and I think that if the government funding is pulled from them, they're going to have to change their business model. There's no bones about it, because they can't afford to stay in business. Because they've literally incorporated government funding into their business model. And that's not a great way to run a business.
Now, we're not here to knock journalists, because we think journalists
it's the people
do
running
a
the
very
business.
important job. And we're not journalists, right? They do it better than we do. But the mainstream media, your editor, your people at the top are the ones that are kind of forcing this spin. And
that's the executives.
Yeah, so I think that there's definitely a place in society for journalists. I think it's a very important job, because you have to be as non-biased as possible when you're a journalist. And, we've come to know a few journalists over our time doing this with Northern Perspective. And, I mean, they know the questions to ask. They know to approach both parties to get both sides of the story, instead of just asking the person who's going to agree with what they've got already in their head, right? So it's a very important job.
Bliss and Change, member for 7 months. I heard Mark Carney ended world hunger and invented the wheel. Oh, you know what? Karina Gold would be happy about that.
I heard he invented warp drive.
Oh.
And dark matter.
I don't know if you can invent dark. Well, I guess he did invent it if he caused the Big
Bang. Or he
Bang.
discovered dark matter then.
So. Nux for Cup with a $10 super chat. Rick Perkins discussed the polls on Elevate podcast he mentioned in 93 before Mulroney resigned. They were at 18%. During the leadership race, they jumped to 40%, only to get wiped out in November.
So it happens,
Same thing,
right?
on both sides.
It happened in 84. Sounds like it happened in 93. It happens.
Drayden F with a $5 super chat. Mark Carney invented YouTube. That's why you never have issues.
That's awesome.
Gordon Meir with a $2 super chat. Carney wrote the 10 Commandments
These are fun.
and then approved them. Just me, Nicole with a $5 super chat, hoping Musk sends Carney first on Mars and leaves him there. No, I hope he sends him to Mars only for it to go off course.
I was going to say, Mark Carney terraformed Mars.
And let's see, this is Braden Wilkinson with a $28 super chat. Thank you very, very much. Hi, Tanya and Ryan. How many debates will they typically have, and how long before we go to the polls? I believe there's typically two, one English,
one
and one in French. I don't recall there being more than that, but I don't think there's going to be more than that. I don't. So, and how long before we go to the polls?
So we anticipate that an election is going to be called the week of March 10th.
Yep.
This is what our EDA has told us. So hopefully that they are correct. And if it's called the week of March 10th, then it takes 36 to 50 days beyond that for actual election day. And it has to be on a Monday. So I think they're telling us March
21st or the 28th
Yeah.
of April.
Yeah.
So, and then, but there's obviously going to be advanced voting before that.
Or
assuming-
possibly they could even call it on March 10th, and then they could choose between March 14th, March 21st, and March 28th. But likely it'll be March 21st or March 20. Or, no, sorry.
April 21st or April
21st. Okay, let me start this again. Clearly, I'm getting a little tired. So if they call it March 10th, then we could have an election on April, 14th, April 21st, or April 28th. But likely it's going to be called sometime during that week of March 10th. And then we'll have an election on April 21st or April 28th. But advance polls are typically 2 weeks beforehand. And Elections Canada is hiring for positions. If you check their website, they do need people who work at the polls. So if that's something that interests you, you can always apply for that. And your party does need scrutineers. These are people who go to the polling station to watch the votes be counted. And that's to make sure that everything's
above board.
Yeah, that, you know, the procedure is being followed, and you can kind of tally the votes as they're counting them. And they need between 100 and 200 people per riding to do that, because they want one person at each polling station. Now we're going to be here doing a special election live stream on election night. So unfortunately, that's not something we can volunteer for. But if you are interested in helping out your preferred party, that's something you can do.
And Dudu with a $5 super chat. Carney created the cure for cancer, but can't remember where he put it. Kyle Rex with a $2 super chat. Carney made carbon so he could tax it.
What a scheme. You invent the thing that you're going to tax.
Absolutely. Pretzel Face, member for 1 month. I hear Carney personally knit Trudeau's fancy socks just for him. Wouldn't surprise me. You guys multi-talented. John McDonald with a $5 super chat. While advising JT and the Liberals, Carney invented scandals as a highly popular political platform. Giddy Nukes with a $5 super chat. I heard it was actually Carney who turned water to wine. Life has been better knowing I'm not the only one smelling the cow crap being shoveled.
Nice. And very cute cat, by the way.
And Paladin Phil. I should know this by now. Speaker of Tales. With a $2 super chat. Mark Carney inspired Karl Marx. And Mr. Excuses, member for 11 months. Mark Carney was the Last Supper. Oh, was that the Last Supper? Yeah, he probably ordered the catering for it. And
No, he cooked the meal himself.
Let's see. And Peter G. Juchek with a $5 super chat. Did you hear Mark Carney created selfies and showed JT how to do them? That's something I learned today. Thank you. And Diane Sylvain with a $10 super chat. Jason James on X Brave New Normal, episode 68. Sam Cooper. Trump and Trudeau's fentanyl standoff. Sam explains a lot more than tariffs on the background. Great interview. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for that.
And Jelly Beans, member for 12 months. Jagmeet Singh will beat Mark Carney in a debate. That just shows you how bad Mark Carney is.
I heard that Mark Carney trained Jagmeet Singh on how to debate.
Oh. I heard Mark Carney invented debates.
Oh.
And Libby T with a $20 super chat. Did you see Anita and Non decided not to resign and support Carney? not her dear friend Freeland.
No, I didn't hear that. I thought she was stepping down and not running in Oakville. It's Oakville that she was in, right? Oakville East or Oakville West? It's split.
Well, it was Oakville.
It was Oakville, and now it's split. Yeah.
So that's interesting. Not such a dear friend after all. AGM with a $7 super chat. Carney was the founder and first Khan of the Mongol Empire, not Genghis Khan or Genghis Khan. Ravisays with a $5 super chat. Dr. Noonien Sung built Mark Carney and sent him back to lead us. It's from Star Trek. RC Lammer with a $5 super chat. Mark Carney invented the flip-flop. The truth will prevail always. The entire Canadian government has gone rogue.
Mark Carney invented the ballpoint pen. And the spaceship.
Warren Higgins with a $5 super chat. Call me silly, but how can there be an election when all districts in the country are not filled with MPs?
So those that don't have candidates yet will have them very soon after an election is called.
Yep.
Yeah, they will find them right away.
Jordan Primo with a $5 super chat. When Mark Carney was born, he drove his mother home from the hospital, and he can kill 2 stones with 1 bird. Talent.
Amazing. These
Talent.
are so good.
Dandaman966 with a $5 super chat. I heard Mark Carney is producing for the musical. He hired the Maserati Marxist as the conductor and Randy.
Randy! Have you been hanging out with Randy?
As the DJ. It might cost $60 million, LOL.
Nice.
And Gordon Muir with a $2 super chat. Mark Carney cooked The Last Supper. Adam Canadian with a $5 super chat. I seen online somewhere that aviation accidents may be the consequence of DEI hires. God, I hope that's not true. Congrats on your book. Cheers.
Thank you. I don't know if that's true or not.
So, well,
I think it's the rumor that's going around for sure.
this is the narrative that Trump threw out there right after the one crash down in the States. So, who knows? Carol Rome with a $2 super chat. Mark Carney advised the Stonehenge builders. he granted them the permit, that's for sure. The other Randy.
Randy! Have you been hanging out with Randy?
With a $5 super chat. Did I make it into the book? I'll pick up my copy. It could help me at work. Next one on parliamentary ethics. You know what? Well, one of them should be Vincent finds the other Randy. John Shano with a $5 super chat. Carney responsible for the Tiananmen Square atrocity. Hammy Hamster, member for 10 months. Congrats on the book. I've heard Mark Carney was the first person to walk on the moon. One small step for people, one giant leap for people kind. Nice. And I'll make sure that my assumption of this is right. No, it was wrong. I'm glad I looked. Wild West Charcoal and Seasoning with a $10 super chat. Thank you very, very much. Myron Enns, member for 8 months. Carney invented idiocy.
Now that I would believe.
Pretty sure that was Trudeau.
Carney helped him.
Or Trudeau was the first disciple. Dan H with a $5 super chat. What's with Carney holding most of his events at pubs lately? Easier to make it look like he has large crowds? Probably. And Manav Karana with a $2 super chat. Who is more unbearable, Carney or Singh?
Oh, I think we got this question. Was it last week or maybe it was at the live event? My answer is Singh, just because like Carney's going to do what Carney's going to do, but Singh helped prop this garbage up.
Yeah,
for
Carney's going to do
years.
Carney's going to do what Carney's going to do. Jagmeet Singh was doing whatever Trudeau did. So
the reason we're in this mess is because of Singh.
And Maverick Mary with member comment for 13 months. Carney was the top advisor to the snake in the Garden of Eden.
That I'd believe as well.
Nancy with a $14 super chat. Carney is actually artificial intelligence. And Alex Pittman with a $7 super chat. Did you hear Justin Trudeau finally got a DNA test to prove who his real father was? Guess who? Mark's Carney. And Daniel T with a $2.79 super chat. Mark Carney created the Q continuum.
That's a Star Trek thing, right?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Everett Humphrey with a $5 super chat. Congrats on the book. Great program. And
high five.
hello at MP Nation. Awesome.
Thank you.
And SK with a $2 super chat. Mark Carney equals Ghost of Kiev. Sorry. And Savage Science with a $2 super chat. Carney finally found the treasure on Oak Island. Yes, he did.
Wow.
And Jilly Beans with a $5 super chat. Mark Carney caused the Big Bang. Ravi Says with a $5 super chat. Also interesting how it seems that Carney seems to be getting private briefings where none of the others were.
Yeah, especially like Freeland's no longer in cabinet, and it doesn't sound like she's getting briefings even though she's an MP.
Right? And Carney is not literally anything. He's the outsider, as he keeps saying. Lawrence Neal with a with a $10 super chat. In the BSG remake, it was Katie Sackhoff who played Starbuck. It wasn't Starbuck that was a villain. It was Apollo. Thank you. And Brad Cutting with a $7 super chat. One of the other cats decided to visit us.
Trying to get him up here so you can see him because he doesn't usually show up on camera.
God was thinking about creating the Earth when Mark Carney tapped him on the shoulder. Don't worry, I already got it. And Yukon Flat with a $7 super chat. Confirmed fact, the only fight Chuck Norris lost was a devastating first round knockout to Mark Carney. Congrats on the book. Much love from Whitehorse. Thank you so much. And Trudeau's Tampon with a $2.79 super chat. Do you watch anything from Frank Vaughn? We don't watch anything from anyone other than CPAC and other things that we're researching for the show, unfortunately.
I caught him. This is Pazuzu.
And he'll be leaving right now. Ray says with a $5 super chat. I mean, if we don't have the Green Slush Fund, how would the Liberals wash our money through to their party? Oh, noes. And Goko Dining with a $2 super chat. Canadian or commie, only one choice. Care D with a $10 super chat. Are people aware that you don't need any ID or bank info or anything in Ontario to vote? When I worked the polls a few years ago, they only needed a friend to vouch for their identity. So
we spoke to Elections Ontario about this, and we spoke to their media line because sometimes when you call the main line, it's just generic questions like how do I vote, where is my polling station, that sort of thing. So we called the media line, identified ourselves as Northern Perspective, and we were able to talk to somebody who was specialized, right? And what we were told was that you do need some form of ID. We don't agree with the fact that you don't need picture ID. Like that, to me, I don't approve of.
That's garbage, and they need to reinstate that.
But they've been doing this for almost 20 years, and it was put in under the previous Liberal government. So clearly they felt that you don't need photo ID, and the Conservatives haven't felt the need to change it back.
But you can't just show up with like handwriting on a document. You need
something that's got your name and your address.
Yeah. And if you're registering, you need a registered voter to vouch for you.
Yeah, so you need both from what we were told.
And Derek Macbeth, member for 14 months. Trump changed his stance shortly after he said April and said it'd be Tuesday as planned. Well, I guess we'll see. And Samson Ram with a $5 super chat. Turns out Trump is upset with Canada because Carney set fire to the White House during the War of 1812. That would be a reason.
I was going to say that'd be a really good reason to be angry.
Cara D with a $10 super chat. There are two different tariffs that Trump is doing. The 25% tariff coming this week for the fentanyl tariff. Then on April 2nd, he's going to implement the equalization tariffs. See, he keeps making stuff up, and it's hard to keep track of it. And Phelan P. Kell, welcome to MP Supporter. Thank you very much, as well as Lorraine BJ. Michael N. with a $5 super chat. How do you guys feel about the lack of limited support from the Commonwealth and other allies in response to Trump's tariffs and annexation talk? Because nobody believes he's serious about the annexation. Like, the media keeps pushing this. Like, it's not serious. There's nothing that has shown me that he is serious about this.
Well, last time he reneged the day of, right?
On the tariffs, yeah. So,
or he pushed it back.
So it wouldn't surprise me if Tuesday comes and then all of a sudden it's pushed out again. Like it really wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, why is there limited support? Because like they think that he's just playing around. That's what they think. And time will tell if he's serious. The Lady of Legend gifting 5 Northern Perspective memberships. Thank you very much for that. Next for Cup, member for 12 months. The U.S. Commerce Secretary today stated that the blanket tariffs on Canada and Mexico are still proceeding on Tuesday, but the amount is now being reconsidered. Yeah. And this is the thing, as Tanya said, like, everyone in Trump's government is sure something's going to happen, and then the day of it happening, it changes. So,
unfortunately, we just have to wait and see. Now, that's not a great position to be in, but that's how it is right now, unfortunately.
And this is the problem. Like, Trump is making Canadians nervous, but he's also making all the Americans nervous as well. Like, there's a lot of people in the States that are Republican voters that are getting very nervous because they're like, what is happening here? How do we plan our business on possible tariffs and we don't even know what's happening and when it's going to happen? So, like, Trump has done some good for Canada, 100%, because it's gotten the government to actually get its act together on the border and fentanyl and all this stuff. But I don't know. I think he approaches diplomacy. My opinion is mixed, put it that way.
Now, before you continue, I have to read these two in the chat because they're just absolutely hilarious. Nathan says, Carney smells like Teen Spirit. And Rory says, Carney designed all of Don Cherry's suits at Fabricland.
Oh, nice.
No, I have to stop reading the chat so that I'm not sitting here giggling like a schoolgirl.
And Ravis Hayes with a $5 super chat. You cannot logic your way out of something you didn't logic your way into. Echo chambers are the death of free thought.
Yeah, 100%.
Peter Witten with a $2 super chat. Try to be kind and calm with the brainwashed. Heather Steves, member for 6 months. I've seen in Rebel News that Mark Carney was RCMP protection and escort. How is this possible when he has not been made leader or prime minister? So we addressed it a little bit earlier. I'm not sure if you were watching then. But despite the fact that there was an RCMP officer there is no information whether or not the government was paying for it, whether Mark Carney was paying for it, or whether the Liberal Party was paying for it. We don't know. Reva says with a $5 super chat, it's true, it was a database update outage or a DNS bork-up. Generally from who I know, it was an update.
And that was regarding the global affairs outage. Yeah.
And what did I say? Bad change.
And what did I say? Ravi Sadies will tell you.
And Heather Steves with a $7 super chat. I just want to say thank you for your amazing work and honesty. I believe you are essential for Canadians' peace of mind.
Thank you.
We do our best.
Yeah, we try not to sensationalize stuff that doesn't need sensationalizing. So if we're really super upset about something and it seems sensational, that's because we feel that there's a need to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Goko Donnie with a $2 super chat. Boxo Books deal. Don't know yet.
Don't know yet. We'll know better when we're in April for sure.
Jelly Beans with a $5 super chat. What about getting a stamp of instant signature? Then he can use that, or you guys use that.
That's a really good idea, actually.
It'll be a big signature. Big stamp.
But you know, it's something that we could look into.
Yep. Goko Donnie with a $2 super chat. Hey, Pixel. And Paul Barnett with a $5 super chat. Thank you as always, Ryan and Tanya, for all you do. Wasn't Carney the Force in the Star Wars?
I think you're right.
I think I saw him in the credits. And Robbie says with a $5 super chat, if Barrett's bill goes through, it should scale with inflation. It should scale with their salary.
Yeah.
Is what it should.
Yeah. Which scales with inflation.
Yeah, that's true. Angus with a $10 super chat. I posted on my Facebook today. Ukraine is actively recruiting foreigners. If you're 18 to 60, no criminal record, you can sign up. I can't post a link here, but look up Hope for Ukraine. Okay.
Thank you for that.
And Theorika with a $5 super chat. My grandmother was good friends with Lorne Green. I have all her postcards from him. They met in Ottawa during World War II when she was stationed there. Oh, that's wild.
Interesting.
Mr. V with a $14 super chat. So wonderful to meet you guys last night. When Parliament resumes, will JT be unresigned? Will elections be called ASAP? Will Liberal race be cancelled? Keep up the awesome work. Okay, so if prorogation is nullified, then Parliament will go back the next day, assuming that there's not a legal
appeal
ruling to prevent that. And at that point, because it's only going to be like less than a week to Carney being there, like they'll go back for a week. And
Trudeau will still have a seat because he's still the MP for Papineau.
Well,
and currently he's still
he'll still be Prime Minister.
Yeah, he's still Prime Minister until March 9th. But even after March 9th, he'll still have the seat for Papineau unless he steps down and vacates the seat immediately.
Basically, he will go to Marco Mendocino Island and Anthony Rota Island. He will just go home and be remote and not show up and not show his face. That's what will happen until the election's called. Patrick O'Brien with a $5 super chat. Can you find out where Trudeau got the funds he's giving Ukraine since Canada is so deep in debt? Thanks. Keep up the great work. Yeah, so we addressed this earlier. If Canada hasn't reached the approved amount of funds that was approved in the last budget, because there was a line item for Ukraine, if they haven't reached that, then it's already been approved as per last June. If they have reached that limit, then all Trudeau can do is commit funding. He can't spend new money, not without going to Parliament. Jerry Michaela with a $2 super chat. If you're not a MP, what's 100% of zero?
So, truth is, I couldn't remember what the base MP salary is. I know it's just over 200,000, but I don't know like the exact number. So I was just using percentages instead of numbers. Yeah. But I do have the chart here. It is current as of 2024 April 1st. So I'll pop that in the chat for you guys in case you're curious and want to see what the base salary is, plus like what the senators make, what you make if you're a chair of a committee, what you make if you're the prime minister, etc., etc. So that's in the chat for you guys.
And Felon P. Kell with a $10 super chat. Those bot networks are going to achieve the same thing as the blue wave in the 2016 U.S. election. Upper Echelon did a vid about the botnet tied to it. It won't manifest actual voters. Well, and that's the thing, right?
They're designed to try to influence people who are seeing these things, but honestly, if you've got bots talking about how great Mark Carney is and how the Liberal Party is so amazing, and your actual life is like, well, I get to the end of the month and I've got more month left than I have paycheck left. I'm in debt. I can't afford groceries. I can't afford rent. I can't afford to live in this country anymore. Are you really going to go, well, those bots in the comments are telling me that Carney is great, I'm going to vote for him? Probably not.
Well, and here's the reality, folks. The vast amount of Canadians are not on Twitter. They're not on Facebook. They have a Facebook account, but they're not active on it. And the vast amount of Canadians don't even know who Chrystia Freeland is, never mind Mark Carney. So, and the vast amount of Canadians, they're just working hard trying to pay their bills and buy groceries.
Well, one of the other guys in our EDA told us that, you know, when we go to door knocking, nobody knows who Carney is.
Yeah, until they tell them.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? That means that most Canadians are pretty aware that the country has gotten worse in the last 10 years, and they're not going to be voting for the Liberals in the next election. So, like, that's when you just break this down to just simple logic.
No, that's not to say that all the Conservatives are going to win and it's guaranteed, because it's not. This is going to be a tough race if Mark Carney becomes the leader.
Still a fight.
It's going to be one heck of a fight, and all of us can get involved with our local electoral district associations and volunteer or donate, and we can help our preferred candidate get elected.
Absolutely.
And that's the way you get elected. And if you think that, oh, well, I'm not really good at talking to people, I don't want to go door knocking in March, you don't have to go door knocking. I don't like door knocking. I have not been door knocking. Ryan's the one who does the door knocking. So I volunteered to help assemble signs. Like, it's something simple that needs to be done, but it's a job that the EDA relies on volunteers to do. So if you're thinking, well, I don't really want to go door knocking, or I'm nervous about door knocking, just contact your EDA and they'll put you to work somewhere else.
Spike Mikey 33, the $5 super chat. Did Mr. Carney invent the circus? That would explain why he was leader of the Liberals. Actually, fun fact, they've actually retired the Guinness Book of World Records because Mark Carney has every single record.
Oh, is that why they got rid of it?
So
I don't think they got rid of it. I'm just being silly.
And SK with a $2 super chat. What came before time, Mark Carney? Well, someone had to invent it. Myron ends with a $5 super chat. Mark Carney invented red matter. He paid Spock to deliver. And T Part 2 with a $2 super chat. Castro is Carney, and he created, well, you know. And Sean Lefty Legend with a $7 super chat. Carney was the second gunman. Apparently, he's done everything else, so I had to throw this one in too.
Nice.
And Goku Diner with a $2 super chat. And on the 6th day, Mark declared the Sabbath. Spiky Mikey 33 with a $5 super chat. Congrats on the book. That's awesome. Sorry to hear Vincent is under the weather. I haven't heard Randy tonight either.
Randy! Have you been hanging out with Randy?
Fort Flames with a $5 super chat. Can I repost your YouTube videos on my Facebook page?
Nope.
No, but you can.
Yes,
you can post the link. Yeah. Because Facebook doesn't classify us as news, so you can just copy and paste the link. Yeah.
And we share every link on our Facebook page, so you can just share it.
Share it from there. Yep.
Zirak with a $5 super chat. Did you hear Mark Carney invented cake? It was so he could have it and eat it too. Love it. Valerie Godet Bernier with a $5.50 super hippo. Thank you very much for that. This is getting deleted. Goko Donnie with a $2 super chat. Oh my god, hi other fuzzy.
Yeah, we don't see him too often.
And Space Ape 2000 member for 5 months. When Carney does a push-up, he's actually pushing down planet Earth, not pushing up his own weight. Amazing man. Justin Brown, member for 13 months. When interviewing God, Mark Carney asked the question, where did you get your socks? Love it. All right, so this person is actually getting banned now. Oh, looks like he might already
I think the mods already did.
Yeah, not cool. Patrick O'Brien with a $5 super chat. Mark Carney blew up the Nord Stream pipeline and sold Russian oil to Germany. Revisays with a $2 super chat, unless it is written in the crayon from JT's nose. Claude
It's like Homer with the crayon so far up his nose it went into his brain. It makes him dumb.
And Claude Peter, a member for 4 months, joined really late. Did you see a by-election for Halifax was called for April 14th? Mark Carney invented Chuck Norris. So yes, we did, and didn't know that he invented Chuck Norris. I knew that he beat Chuck Norris. Miles with a $2.79 super chat. Is Ukraine first, according to Clyde? No.
Not that I know of.
No.
Did you read this one? It's a super sticker from Valerie Godet Bernier. It says, Hippo character smacks his hands onto face and looks around to see if anyone saw what he just saw. Awesome. Thank you.
So, Mod, you have to skip ahead. You have some other work to do. Michael N with a $5 super chat. Take a pic of Vincent's signature, scale it to the reasonable size, make a stamp. You guys are golden. Maybe make ones for yourselves. Sore wrist, big demand. That's actually not a bad idea either, Michael N. And Rev says with a $5 super chat. Lies, Canada hasn't gotten worse. I just redecorated my cardboard box. And Care D with a $20 super chat to see how lax it is to vote in Ontario. Check out the person who was writing disrespectful chats. Yeah, I'm not gonna.
We're not gonna address that live.
Unfortunately, I'm not gonna do that. Mike Ennis with a $10 super chat. I pray the PCs win a majority because I will ask my MP if it's a PC to rewrite the charter because of the non-freedom of speech and censorship. We now know the charter isn't strong in wording for us. Got it. Okay. And Finiction with a $2 super chat. Will you guys bring back the Discord community? So because of the amount of the lack of control that Discord had, we had to get rid of it, unfortunately.
Well, it's because people were pretending to be Ryan and coming into our Discord and then
people.
private messaging people, trying to get money out of them.
And we weren't the only ones either.
Discord does not provide the tools to protect against that sort of thing. So now we don't have a Discord. So if anybody tries to impersonate us, well, the answer is we don't have one. So it's obviously not us.
Yeah. So it was to protect the community from being subject to scams and fraud. And we weren't the only channel that was actually going through that, unfortunately. So we don't have any plans of bringing it back for the foreseeable future. So anyway, folks, it's 12:30. Thank you so much for participating tonight. Thanks so much for being here for the big announcement. Should be an interesting week with, we may get our decision very soon for prorogation. I think they have to do it this week if they're going to. So we'll see. But time's ticking. It is now 6 days until Justin Trudeau is no longer Prime Minister of Canada and leader of the Liberal Party. So we will see what happens. And we'll see you in the comments. So have a good night, everybody.
Thanks. Have a great night.